Welcome back to Late Night at the Movies, episode 46, The Crow.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Late Night at the Movies on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. You see, Jay, that's how it's done. Rolls right off the top, if you know what you're saying.
Nicely done.
Yeah, well, welcome back, everybody. And honestly, we just first got to shout out the fact that Julie did know the assignment. You know, boo on me and Jay. You know, I'm usually not one of these guys that doesn't come in costume around Halloween. I unfortunately dropped the ball this time around, but Julie, great job on your Crow-inspired get up here tonight for the show. And it is a couple of days before Halloween at the time of this recording. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out how great a costume that you did there, honestly, for this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. What's that?
She's always showing us up. Don't you worry.
That's right.
I crack into that Halloween like Tupperware that I got, and I just let God do the rest.
This is your bag. Yeah, this is your time to shine. Honestly, not that you don't bring it on other episodes, but like this is your time of the year here, so you gotta show up like that. But I just hate to be a JT about the situation because I know he's left you hanging before on these type of shows. So
true. Nico at least did go and put a Pinhead shirt on, though.
I did. There you go. I got a Pinhead shirt going, so I tried to do that at the very least. I couldn't get my Jason mask that's buried in my closet right now, or else I would have grabbed that one and threw that on because I've done that before here on the show.
You should have put your Michael Myers outfit on.
I know, the jumper suit. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
I have my Hugh Hefner Playboy Velvet thing in the closet. I could throw that on if you get it.
There you go.
There, yeah.
If the ladies want it out there, no, I don't think they do. So let's just
all for the ladies.
It's all for the ladies. But yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is our 46th episode, as Julie mentioned at the top of the show there, and this is Julie's pick, and this is the last pick for Spooky Month. We've actually managed to. For spooky season here, we've put out an episode every week this month of Late Night at the Movies, which won't always be the case. We try to go, twice a month, usually for the Late Night at the Movies. And then, if there's more topical stuff, that new movies that come out, we have a chance to record a quick episode for. We might kind of throw out another one there like we've been doing. But yeah, we figured what the hell, we do like our horror movies around here. Well, most of us anyways. I think there's somebody who didn't join us all this month for whatever reason. I don't know what that's all about, but some people don't like them. Some people get scared. I get it.
I still can't figure it out, bro. I still really, I am having the hardest time figuring out why people don't like horror movies, thriller movies, stuff like that. Like I still can't.
Well, we miss him. He's living vicariously through us.
Okay,
but I think Max will be back with us next episode. I believe he said he couldn't miss Jay's pick. He made that very. I think he's looking forward to talking crap about Jay's next pick after the last.
I got one. I told you I got one that'll make him happy. I think so.
But stay tuned at the end of the episode. We will announce JT's first pick, which will be the first pick of November. But yeah, go back and check out the playlist because this month we dropped Beetlejuice, which Christine jumped on the episode as a guest with us kicked off the month with for us there. And then we did Halloween. And then we did last week, me and Christine actually just put out an impromptu episode talking about movies that are out in theaters right now that you guys can go check out. A couple of scary movies that are out right now in theaters. That's Smile 2, and they're both sequels from 2 years ago. The last installments came out, and Terrifier 3, which we both saw these last couple of weeks. Both great. I really, really enjoyed both those movies.
I'll give you. I'll give you this because listening to you guys talk about Smile 2 made me go watch it. At first, made me go rewatch the first one because I didn't get to watch it all, and then rewatch, and I didn't even realize what of a fucking. I forgot how good a movie it was.
Yeah, it's slightly above average in terms of like you think that's going to be one of those movies that's just like an okay horror movie, but it's not bad. I like the
It's a
idea of it.
storyline.
If you like It Follows, I think it's an easy sell because if you like that, or if you like the other movie where we talked about that, obviously it continues on from one person to the next. Like these type of movies where there's like a curse that moves on. Of course, what's the original that started that? We were talking about it on the show. There's It Follows, and then there's see, now I'm going to draw a blank.
Yeah,
there's another movie that does it too. That kind of started this whole thing about it moving on to the next person, right? Oh, The Ring. That was the same thing.
Mm.
Yeah. So like if you like those type of movies, it's an easy sell because Smile 2, honestly, even better than the first one, and Terrifier 3, those movies just keep getting better and better. And I think this year you've seen Art the Clown probably somewhere on your Instagram feed because David Howard Thornton is just out there with that character. He's hitting the streets. He's doing all kinds of promo for these movies, and it's a little indie movie a horror movie. Honestly, it's great franchise right now. So make sure to check out that last episode in the feed. And of course, Julie, her pick was this month as well too. So we had to finish it off with her pick here. And as she mentioned, she likes to go a little outside the box. She picked The Crow for her pick here for spooky season. But yeah, go ahead, take it away, Julie. Why don't you let us know about this movie?
Okay. So the sort of synopsis of it is, where did I write it down? It takes place on Devil's Night, which is the night before the wedding of the main character, who is musician Eric Draven and his fiance, and they are brutally murdered by members of this violent gang. And on the 1-year anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave and assumes the mantle of the Crow, who is a supernatural avenger who seeks to take rightful revenge on those that robbed him of everything. And so I didn't watch the entire movie until some years later. I was like probably 15 or 16. And this is when I used to peruse the bargain bin at Giant Tiger, where all the cheapo movies were, and they were all in this bin. The whole series, like The Crow and all of its crappy sequels, all in this bin, and I just bought them all on a whim because they were $2. And so then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, like, I became very drawn to it. Like, I liked it a lot. I didn't hate the sequels as much as some people did, but yeah, they're crappy. But, like, whatever. And I think it was around the same time as, like, that thread, like the V for Vendetta time, like when I started to actually pay attention to movies and what I liked in filmmaking and stuff like that. So it's another one of those like movies that I paid attention to production wise and like had an appreciation for things that maybe I never paid attention to in filmmaking prior to that era of my life. And that's kind of my intro to my experience with the movie.
I can see why that because I was going to ask you that same thing if it had that sort of effect on you, because I mean, from the time this came out to the time you started like really getting into your film stuff and all that, the photography and shit that you like to do, right? So when I was like, you could learn a few things from this because you could see the time, how it's changed from then till now. So I was going to wonder if that had piqued your interest in this movie.
Well, that's the other thing too. Yeah, I forgot to say that. It came out in 94, which is when it came out, I was 2. But so I didn't see it until.
Yeah, I know that.
But,
I know that. So I'm thinking, like during that time, that's maybe.
But it sounds like it was like a gateway film kind of for you in terms of like,
in a way,
forming your taste or kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, or things that you were into at that time, right?
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I've had low key goth attitude since then, for sure. I've never had black hair. Like my mom would not let me dye my hair or like dress like this or any of that shit. Right. But god damn it, I wanted to. Yeah,
that's definitely present in this film, right? It's very gothic,
so grungy. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure.
It hits that one for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw it to one of you guys. When did you first see it? How did you feel?
Jay, you want to go ahead?
Well, I probably first seen it as a teenager as well. I mean, that's around the age that it would have been most popular. But honestly, there's not really much of an attachment I have to this movie. I liked watching it, and unfortunately, with all the stuff that came out after this, you don't really. I never really got into the second parts of it. But I like a lot of these old movies. It does. Like I say, with a lot of these older films that we watch and stuff like that, it really brings back, um, you know, a lot of memories too. It's fun. It's almost like like a kick in the face every time we watch something older like this,
Yeah.
especially with a very what's that age? A very,
Like formative years.
yeah, like where you're trying to figure stuff out in your life at
Yeah.
that teenage. Yeah, it was really a cool movie to watch, like in that sense, right?
Mhm.
So I'd like to yeah, that's basically my history with the movie. Nothing really crazy. This is probably I might have watched it once or twice when it first came out,
Hmm.
but yeah, nothing since then until we did this rewatch here. So, but honestly, it was surprising doing it upon rewatch. It was surprising to see, how good it was actually of a movie. And well,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty well done for the time too, right?
And this film has a big fan base, man. Obviously, it's evident in the fact that the franchise is still going. They literally just put out a new film, which is a remake, I think, of this first film, if I'm not mistaken, right? With
Yeah.
with a good cast. Like it's so like clearly it has like a quite the legacy, let's say, to have continued on and to this time. And taking it from where Jay mentioned there, this kind of falls into, for me, the avenue of one of those films where I've actually never fully watched the movie. There's so many movies that I feel like when I was growing up that were I either saw parts of or I saw parts of on TV, or it's just so in like involved with the culture that you've seen maybe things online about it, or like, you know what I mean? Like I know some stuff about this whole Brendan Lee part of this movie and that whole story about him. The curse that followed these movies around, which I'm sure you'll get into. That's kind of like, for me, like it's always been around. There's so many films where I feel like I haven't properly sat down and watched them fully, yet they were always like around during my life. You know what I mean? So this is probably the only time that I can remember that I've ever, for this watch, I've ever sat down and fully watched this movie. Now, I am aware that it's based on an indie comic book by James O'Barr, which kind of came along with like the black and white boom of comics back in the day, of like early indie, kind of more underground kind of black and white comics. Of course, like things like the Ninja Turtles blew up as a result of that too. So like, just to name one of the most successful comics that came from that. But like this obviously had, this also had a huge fan base. I've read the comic before years ago, and yeah, this kind of more symbolizes some of like the more dark and grittiness, kind of like indie underground black and white comics of that time as well. And definitely was like in that same kind of, like you said, like goth kind of tone, like the certain people, the readers that were attracted to this comic. And yeah, I've read the comic, probably I have read the comic before I've actually ever watched this movie fully for the first time. So yeah, so I'm aware of it from its history in comics as well.
It is very, I mean, it became a cult classic, obviously, but it's very goth culture, like referential, like the nature of the content itself. The soundtrack is big for goth and grunge culture for sure. Something I appreciated about it was that the writing team, like they obviously had James O'Barr on, which is great. Like they keep the original creator of the story in the film. That's, I always appreciate when that happens, like keep it true to the narrative that it's built on. And then the other two people that were involved in the writing, this one guy, David Shao, comes from horror genre mostly. And John Shirley is kind of in the superhero and comic-based content. Like he did some Ninja Turtle stuff, and has like background in like the comic-based content and show stuff. So that was good. Like that sort of like like the dream team makeup of what the writers could have been. So that was really great. I think the only thing that I thought that they did kind of that, like, when I kind of disliked in a way, but like it was a sort of a funny thing that they did, and I should read the comics, I think, and see like what they're basing this character on, and like just to be able to understand why they made this choice with fuck, what the fuck is his name? Hold on a second.
Brendan Lee or
Nope. Hold on. I'm just blanking on the boss guy's name.
Top Dollar. That guy.
Top Dollar, yeah. I wish that I knew what they were trying to base Top Dollar on, because Michael Wincott brought such a weird mixture of characteristics, and like the building of the character is such a weird mixture of characteristics. His energy is super confusing. He's like dressed like fucking.
He's hamming it up, this guy in this movie. It is ridiculous.
He's dressed like fucking Fabio, like the Italian runway model. He's got Interview with the Vampire hair, but he speaks like a Southern guy, and he's supposed to be a mob guy. Like it's really a lot of mixed genre shit that makes up his character. And he's fucking his sister. Like, what the fuck is going on with that character?
Well, there you go. You stepped on one of my unique questions. I actually was going to ask if that was the case, because he gets called out for that during the movie, but I never knew if that was the case. It is his sister, right? Like, that's
what he like alludes to that when he's talking to the one guy. But I don't know. It's never really brought up again.
Right.
He just makes a joke about like, okay, resemblance between me, this white vampire man, and this Asian lady, and I'm like, is it your sister? Are we joking? I don't know.
Okay, but there is no other indicator other than that guy calling him out for it at one point, right?
I don't think so.
Okay,
not that I caught.
So yeah, just to jump ahead, that was one of my questions. It was just like, is that actually this dude's sister, or like? But honestly, like, as weird as a character as it is, it tracks. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, okay. Like, I'm just like, yeah, whatever this guy is, like, I don't know what's going on here.
I also just love like that. Even though the character itself is really fucking weird, brilliant casting choice. Michael Wincott's voice is very alluring. Like, it's really like when I think of other roles that he's in, it's like it's a super iconic voice to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a really, and like also fucking all-star cast, man. Brandon Lee, fucking Ernie Hudson. Like, man.
So I was gonna say that I think that this is honestly, for me, one of the biggest movies that we've done so far. That was just a huge That Guy movie. Like, there's so many characters in this, like, that I'm like, it's guys I would never know their names, but other than Ernie Hudson and Brandon Lee. And I didn't even know the bad guy's name, but I know I've seen him and stuff. But like, so many things I feel like I've seen some of these other bit players in. I believe that one guy at the start that he kills, the black guy, I believe he's from some of Kevin Smith's movies, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I've seen him in one of those. And I think he's in Chasing Amy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so like there's just all these characters that they have in here that I've seen in other performances in other films. So it was kind of fun just to kind of see all the different people they put together for this project as well.
The guy who runs the fucking pawn shop is that guy for me. I have no idea what I've seen him from, but I'm like, oh, I know this motherfucker.
Yes, same. Yeah. Yeah, he's been in lots of things.
I think I pretty much covered the sort of what I did right, wrong, what I like, dislike, that type of thing. So I'm gonna throw it to you, Jay.
And what I like and didn't like, I liked a lot of things about it. I like the action. I like the little stunts here and there. I like the fucking makeup, to be honest with you. Mm. And I like the darkness of it. And to bring you back to Devil's Night, always gives you good pleasure, and it always makes you feel good, because I'm pretty sure we're all guilty of having fun. Maybe not blowing up fucking buildings, but
they're a little aggressive with the Devil's Night activities, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a cool.
Bro, they raped his girl. He threw him out of a window. They're a little aggressive.
They're a little aggressive. Also, that it's based in Detroit is kind of like a new one.
Yeah.
Like typically it's like, oh, it's based in fucking New York, or it's based in LA, or it's based in some fake version of one of those two. Rarely ever do we find it based on essentially Lake Erie, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, here's shithole Detroit, which I think is really funny.
Well, I mean, it actually plays well for the movie as in
Yeah.
that, because I think in that time, it's still Detroit's always been picking up the
Yeah.
pieces right now
Mhm.
from all that loss of work and stuff and crap. And no, it's a very dark movie in that sense, and really great to see a lot of these actors as they were younger
Mhm.
too, because some of these guys like what's his I forgot all their freaking names here. I have it already
The
right here.
henchman?
The top casts, like
Mm.
just the guys that are in there, like Ernie Hudson, those guys, they're all getting old, man. Like
Mhm.
they're all pushing their ages now, and you can see, but it's so funny seeing guys like that. And I probably couldn't even remember half these pictures now because they're older, but it was just like a cool thing, like to get, just to watch, and it kept you with the storyline going. Like I feel like I could I could talk about a lot more than just the storyline and stuff like that and how it kind of progressed. But it is a really dark and interesting movie, and I to be honest with you, I I very quotable too. That's another thing. That was the hard part about this fucking movie. It's is a very quotable and a very scene worthy movie of a lot of things.
I wrote
So
down so many lines.
well, I had to give up because there was so many, man. Like I mean, we could only pick a few. Like they right out of the door, they hit you with a bunch of lines after you see some guy get thrown out of a fucking building. Like, come on, like, and they just hit you with little wise one-liners or jokes and
The
quotes.
dialogue is so hilarious. I forgot about how fucking funny it is.
There's a lot of zingers, like action movie type zingers in this, which that's probably one of my favorite parts about it because yeah. Well, go ahead, Jay. The quotes, there is some good ones for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't feel bad at interrupting. We can have a general discussion.
No, I know.
mean,
I just want you to get your thoughts out of it, right? Yeah. No, go ahead.
yeah, no, that's what I mean. It was very quotable. The thing, I mean, the first thing that for this time watch around too is that it kind of made me think, man, they should have fucking dressed the Joker up like this guy, because this guy looks like he could have played it a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? Just the face and the look when he's go back and get his revenge. So, I kind of was really, it was fucking with my head,
I didn't even really draw the similarities in the characters until you just said that.
They're very similar,
Of like the fucking stringy curly hair thing, and yeah.
Except now one's singing opera. I mean, but it's all about revenge, like in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, so it was throwing me off. I was like, yeah, man, they should have fucking used this since Gotham is so dark and this and that. They would have been perfect. But no,
Yeah.
have a guy flying around with a bird on his shoulder. Now, I would like to have. I thought about getting a bird here to put on my shoulder. That was what I thought. Like, but where are you going to find it? I went to the dollar store and everything today, guys. Okay. So I did think about it. But yeah, no, honestly, let's keep the discussion going. Go ahead, Neeks.
Yeah, so positives about the film. I think that the overall premise of this movie is a really good one. It's like a simple classic revenge story of a guy coming back from the dead and killing everybody that basically wronged him, which I think is an excellent simple premise that always works, and it is coming out of the 90s as well as the gothic aesthetic that it did. I think that's great. Like I think as a movie idea to go off of, it's like one of my favorite kind of tropes, the revenge film type stuff. So like, and I actually didn't even stupidly enough make the connection how this also works on that level of this being your pick for Halloween. The fact that we are recording it before Devil's Night, the fact that it is basically him coming back from the dead on Halloween, that's actually really cool. I did not put that together. And
it kind of relates to our last one with the Beetlejuice, because he's got to come out of the ground, except he doesn't come out of like a fake little thing. He actually comes out of the ground.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And also it kind of tracks for Julie's honestly first two picks of this show have also been comic book movies, both of them, which is like, yeah, that's crazy. And both like
My third one might also be a comic book
there you
movie.
go. There you go. More indie related comics too. So like, yeah, no, it's great. I think it's good as a to talk about too, because I feel like a lot of people don't know this to be a comic book movie. There's so many movies like that are lost to time and people not knowing that the original source material that they come from. And this is another early example of a comic book movie that isn't looked upon in that same way, because more people now are used to superhero comic book movies, right? This is at a time where they had the Ninja Turtles. That was a movie that was a comic originally, but that also got lost to time in the sense that there's video games and there's cartoons, and like people don't remember that it originally started out as a comic book. So like anything like that, a chance to discuss that and this kind of stuff, I enjoy. So I think, but like, again, the basic premise of this movie was really, really good. Like I love the classic street justice vigilante type of approach. Like it's really good stuff.
And at the end of the day, it's like a love story too, as well. No,
Yeah.
Nico. I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about it, it really is.
Yeah.
Which appeals to JT and his sappy self.
It does. That kind of stuff does. It does, and those are like timeless things. You guys, I told you.
Yeah, you're a big softy for sure.
Soft. I also forgot about that. This is like a point that I forgot to write down, but it's almost like it's everything that we want Batman to be. We want him to fuck people up really bad. We want him to kill people. But it is like the same kind of aesthetic of like they shot it so goddamn dark, and like why is everything in shadow, and it's but thematically it's kind of like what we want Batman to be sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I really kind of I another positive is that, again, like I think we already kind of talked about this already, but like how this really helped further define this whole like more of like the gothic aesthetic in film and the gothic noir kind of in films and culture. And I noticed that like this even inspired Sting, the wrestler's look from WWE at that time, like his whole thing with the face painting and coming in on the ropes, like appearing out of nowhere. Like this is basically what inspired that character for wrestling, as far as I know. I believe this is as a result, direct result. I looked it up and I couldn't find anything that said otherwise, that it didn't inspire him. And people were like, how did he get away with that? But like, I feel like that's just extra promo for this movie and that for that comic at that time, if he was doing it right. Cause I know that was back in the day. Sting's been wrestling. He retired now, but he's been wrestling for a long time. So that was really, really cool. And
I did see mention of that as well.
Yeah. And, and the fact that we mentioned a lot of guys popped up in this movie, the whole legacy with the Brendan Lee thing too, and just all the different people that popped up in it. But, as far as the negatives go, this is my first time watching it. As much as I'd like to shit all over this movie, because Julie has been quite harsh to some of my picks.
I'm so unkind.
I won't listen. I don't think it's a great movie, if I'm being honest with you, but
100% fair.
Yeah. But here's the thing. And I want to make this very clear. I didn't grow up with this movie. I feel like if I saw this back in the day, I would have a much bigger appreciation for this movie. And when I was making my notes for it after having watched it yesterday, I even thought, like, when I was writing some of this stuff out, like how some of the stuff I felt like was funny after the fact that I had actually watched it, where I was rolling my eyes a lot of the time when I was actually watching the film, if I'm being honest. And I came to this conclusion. I think the main issue that this movie has, at least for me, is that they don't embrace the cheesiness as much as I really want them to. I think that it's so trying to be so super serious throughout the movie, and like Jay said, like about like this whole dark aesthetic and like trying to be like come off that way, and maybe you guys feel that way about it. It's just, I feel like if they had a little bit more fun with it, and they had fun with it, believe me, look at this bad guy that's in the movie, like he's hamming it up to an extreme, like hit the quotes in the scene. Here's the thing, some of the quotes in the scenes, actually, when I was going through the notes that I had written down for my favorites, were pretty fun on second thought. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of eye rolling that I was doing when I was watching the actual film, where I'm just like, yeah, this is not aged well, or maybe it's just. But then I look it up and like, people love this movie, and I think it's just I didn't grow up with it. There's so many cheesy films that I'll defend to the end of time because I know how bad they are, but I've embraced that part of it. But I also feel this movie's so hyper serious that they aren't able to have as much fun, I feel like, as other movies. Am I totally off by saying that? I think if they leaned into it, maybe they are very aware of how cheesy some of this stuff is, but I don't think they are. I think they're really trying to go for a serious tone, and it doesn't. I don't think it meets that promise at times of the film, and I think it's not as entertaining as a result. That's what I wrote down. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this movie is why I don't like it as much.
I think that affects maybe me and you more, Nico, in a sense of when we watched it, because we probably watched it more we watched it when it first came out, and then there was a big gap between this one and the second one, and the second one was like a flop for all of us, right? In a sense, like
I haven't seen any of them. I haven't seen any of the sequels. I haven't seen any of them, right? This isn't
I think this is one that you never even seen this one originally. You had to watch this one for the first time.
No, I've never watched. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like if I had some history with this, I would know what I was expecting, and when I was going into it, and maybe I would have had more fun with it. Like, I'd probably run this back at some point. I didn't think it was horrible to the point where I'm like, I don't ever have to see that again. But like, it was tough, and I was definitely rolling my eyes at some points in the movie, just because I don't feel like they were embracing that the bad moments as much. But then, like, when you guys mentioned, some of the quotes are pretty funny, some of the scenes are pretty funny, but I'm like, how purposely are those supposed to be funny? I don't know. That's where it loses me. I think they're really trying to be serious.
It took itself really seriously.
Yes. If it didn't take itself that seriously, because there's Arnold movies with similar types of tones like this that are fucking hilarious, but Arnold knows what he's doing. Like, you know what I mean? They know how hilarious he is when he's doing stuff, right? Like,
I still think this movie was more fixated around Brandon Lee.
It's his legacy.
As opposed to them dealing with the franchise aspect of this thing that they could have gone around, and the superhero aspect, in a sense, because they really missed out on that over the years, I think, with this character. And if they would have done it the right way, I'm not saying this movie was there to showcase one person, and I still believe that it's Brandon Lee, and because something so negative came out of it, they didn't embrace the franchise the right way, and I think they're trying to
the legacy of this movie, and future films as a result.
Unfortunately, in my eyes, now I haven't got to see the new ones, right? Like, I haven't gotten a chance to see. I wanted to watch that one, and I wanted to say, okay, I want to watch this one first, and then I'll go and see the new version, revamped sort of version of what they're doing, right? So we'll have to see and compare in my head what I think of it now. But I still believe, though, they missed out on a big character, in the sense of him. If he could have carried that legacy on for a couple more movies, I think if he would have been in part 2, obviously, if he could make it, right?
Yeah.
If there wasn't no what's it called? I think it was on the set, right? That it happened too. It was another one on set that it happened. Yeah, right. So unfortunately, if there, I mean, I could understand it happening way back then, but still, it's a weird thing, right? Like, but I mean, if that didn't happen, I think it would have propelled him to do the second one, and maybe even gone further with that character, and they might have gotten crazier with this franchise, right?
Right.
They really showcase him, like, he did a great job, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I have a counterpoint to that, though. Like, as far as him being, I don't know, maybe if Nico's aware of the comic that it's based on, then correct me if I'm wrong. But him taking on the embodiment of this sort of supernatural force that makes him the Crow. Like, the Crow itself is this it's like an entity that is inhabiting a human form. So, like, once his revenge story is sort of wrapped up neatly with a bow, the crow like leaves him and he's dead now, and it will pass on to another character.
They did other
Which
comics.
is what they did.
Yeah,
with
they
the
did other
movies.
comics after the original, and that is the case. There's different people.
Okay.
Or the Crow, yes.
Yeah, because his story, his timeline is kind of, it's all wrapped up by the end of that, right? So
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, I get what you're saying, Jay. I feel like, yeah, if he did survive, it probably maybe would have, maybe if they were able to do something with him somewhere down the road, maybe it would have been thought. But no, but that's just the thing, though. I might be in the minority on this of people that have grew up with this movie. This is a beloved movie. A lot of people love this movie, so I that's why I'm like, unfortunately for me, I just didn't get it as much. I didn't think it was as good as I feel like it's been hyped up for me at this point, but maybe that's just because I went in with expectations and I didn't grow up with it during the time period, right? And
right.
that's why I wanted to kind of preface what I was saying with that, right? But yeah, but then, you know, I mean, not to say that that's the only movie rating community out there, but even if you go put this in on Letterboxd, it says huge ratings on there, and that's a very critical platform for a bunch of stuff. But then it's weirdly that audience then embraces other things, which are like more like, you know, they sometimes push some stuff to the top of movies that they enjoy, purely based on what other you know, criteria of, like, you know, just loving movies or loving a certain movie, right? So it's interesting to see that there's obviously such a again, they just put out a new movie. There's clearly still an audience for this franchise, right? But yeah, there's a couple other negative things I just had to say generally about the movie, though.
Yeah.
I thought the sound effects were really bad. They seemed that they were
They're
applied over a lot
cheesy.
of the fight scenes. So bad.
volume wasn't there too.
I also think, like, as much as I like Ernie Hudson, I think he was miscast in this role. I don't know if he was a good. You guys could feel otherwise. Feel free to defend it. But I like Ernie Hudson, but obviously at this point in time, the thing I know him the most from back in '94 would be Ghostbusters. And I feel like I get what they were going for, with kind of trying to cast him as like the cop with the heart of gold type character. I get it, because he plays a really good guy, but I just don't know. I think it would have been better with somebody else that had like a little bit more grit to him. It seemed weird
Well,
seeing
he
him
was
kind of come
he's a
in at the end.
comedian.
What's that?
He's like a comic too, right? Like he's more of a comedic actor
Yeah,
in a
I
sense.
just don't see him in this role. Like, because seeing him
That's
even come in at the end with the guns and stuff, it felt like weird seeing Ernie Hudson in this role. I don't know. I just think he was miscast. It's not that he even did a bad job. I just think they could have cast somebody better in that role. I don't know. It was weird seeing him in this. I was like, Ernie Hudson. I was like,
come on, he had some of the best quotes, bro.
yeah, no, I like Ernie Hudson. That's the thing. I just, like, I don't know. It's just it was weird to see him in this.
I was like, yeah, it is Ghostbusters. I didn't even think about looking back.
It's Ghostbusters. That's like he's most known for, right? He's done other things, but and then yeah, I just thought of the execution of an otherwise good story, and some of this was not the best. And I also thought the intro was bad. Like the first like 10 minutes was very confusing for me. I don't know, watching it, even though I kind of knew the origin. It was like the way they filmed it, like, was very cutscene-y, and like, I guess they were trying to, I don't know. Go ahead. Like, I'm sure you like the way it's done, Julie, because you're
There's a reason that it sucks.
okay.
That was filmed after he died.
See, now that explains it. I knew there was a certain point of production that he wasn't involved in. I didn't read into it too much because I was hoping you could fill us in on this episode if you knew. Okay, so I'll shut up about that then.
The intro, I mean, I can get into it later, but yeah, there's a reason that it sucks.
Okay.
But there is parts about the beginning, like specifically the very beginning, that I like a lot, because I think it's kind of neat what they did.
Yeah.
It's also, it makes me think of Beetlejuice a little bit. There's production designer shit in here that is very interesting and unique to me.
Yeah.
But I can save it for later on.
But that's it. I mean, that's mainly what I wanted to say. That was my big takeaway about the negatives. You know, again, I just don't know where to draw the line. That's why maybe I have to run it back one day, because like even how cartoonish the bad guys were in this, like I just don't know how much they're going for that vibe. I really think they're taking it super serious, and it's coming off just super cheesy to me, like in certain points. Because I'm
What
like,
do you mean by cartoonish?
like there's just so like mustache.
They're really hammed up. Yeah.
There's a moment, for instance, like which I wrote down for the scenes, which I enjoy, but I'll burn this one now. I threw it out there, but it's just but again, I don't know if I'm enjoying it for the fact that it's purposely bad or if it's just bad. I don't know. There's a part where they're all the bad guys on cue just start laughing, and then you cut to that Marcella or whatever her name is, that Mika or whatever that woman's name. I forgot her name.
Yeah, Micah or Mika.
Sister Micah. She's just sitting there. She's just like has like a weird look on her face, like she's offended, and all the bad guys are like hyping, like laughing it up. They're like, and then it's just, and then there's like a part like again, this guy's fucking burning an eyeball at one point. And then he's got like a big Tony Montana like size cocaine pile. Like, what's going on?
There's too much.
Like,
for him.
burning this eyeball, and he's like, "That's like what?"
Yeah.
It's actually
so
awesome.
much.
No, I wrote that down. Sorry, that's why I don't want to step on all the scenes. It's actually a funny fucking scene, but I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? I don't think it's supposed to be funny, right? Like that was actually my favorite part of the movie. I'm like, what is going on with this fucking guy?
He's so many different characteristics in one. It's so whack.
Yeah, he literally has a Tony Montana cocaine pile on his table, and he's burning the fucking like an eyeball like it's incense. Like,
yeah.
Dude, but I think that's part of the whole comic-y aspect of this movie.
But I don't think they're trying to be funny. That's
no, I don't think that. No,
it's
but you
cartoonish.
gotta remember, it's the Devil's Night. It's a city that's out of control.
Right.
You gotta remember that, right? So I mean, when it's a city that's out of control and it's run by like guys like that, I mean, of course they're probably going to be hyped up on something. Maybe they just didn't say they were on the drug until afterwards. But yeah, look at them, man. I mean,
but not only that, Jay, just to further my point, I could see that though. Now that I've talked about it, I actually did find that enjoyable on some level. So I could run this back probably at some point, and I might have more fun with it on the second watch. You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't know where to stand with my final opinion on it because of that. Because I don't think it's like a movie that's trying to be super serious when it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's just I think it's intentional that they're hamming it up this bad in some of these moments, right? Like I'm like, Jesus, like why is this? So
am I not right? Like when I say something like they like even there's parts of like if you go back then you went back and watched it again, let's say, and you found that you didn't realize how kind of serious funny that Brandon Lee was like that, and it was like that. But it was like that sick humor, right? It was
sort of like like this kind of cartoonish like caricature of like a brooding character, which like his part seems to be that they're trying to be super serious with it, whereas like the rest of the cast is very like Joel Schumacher, fucking zany.
That's a good comparison, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
like the Batman.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe the intention originally was for it to be on that side of like the campy sort of funny, and then it became super serious because he died.
That's a great comparison. Is that Batman Forever, the Joel Schumacher movie though? That and I love that movie. It's ridiculously bad, but I love that movie. See, and it's also indicative of this time period and this like the attitude angsty kind of shit. He's playing The Cure, like, you know what I mean? Like it's so it works. I just think for me, I did not know what to expect, and maybe I went into it thinking that it was going to be more serious than it was, and then it just doesn't come off that way. But you're right, like even that Batman movie, like in that one though, I feel like they do know they're being schlocky at times in that Batman movie, as bad as that movie like was for folks, but I absolutely love it. But then there's other times where the jokes just aren't hitting and you're like, this is so cheesy, like and that's kind of what I felt about this movie. But that's one I watched during that time, which is around the same time period, which I absolutely love, and people shit on that movie, and I love that movie, and Batman and Batman Forever. Yeah, so Even the Mr. Freeze one, the Batman and Robin, that one's even worse.
But I love that one too.
But so do I. But so I'm with you. I can get there almost with it. But if I'm just being honest, I just thought there was some bad parts in it. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah. But it wasn't.
I think it's kind of switching from that 80s to 90s style movie,
trying
to get more darker, and they were trying to get more darker, but they were still forgetting that, like they wanted to leave so because you test the waters too still, right? Like it is technically a comic book, right? So it could have some funny aspects in it when written down. So and maybe it just doesn't portray so well on the as an acting thing, like if they're not reading it properly, if they're not directing it properly in that sense.
Oh, there's
right?
definitely some bad acting in this too. There's definitely some bad acting in this. That's the problem. I felt like
great. Like there's great
there's
stuff. There's some like CGI and all that stuff too, right? Like in that sense, like they trying to add little things in that they probably it was new to them at that point. And I like to. That's what I want to hear what Julie has to say about those kind of things that she's got some gripes about. I could figure. Right, but I was like, every time I seen it, I was like, okay, Julie might have something to say about this.
Hey, get out of here! You don't have to come to her defense. She shit on lots of movies that I picked for this show, so I'm actually properly critiquing the movie, in my opinion, Jay. So just
but no, I am too. I'm feeling there is parts of it that.
No, you liked it better than I did. Clearly, you did. Yeah, it sounds like it. So,
but I've also had a rewatch of it. This is a rewatch of it too, right? Yeah. You said you just seen it one time.
I'm enjoying talking about it with you guys. I'll tell you that. It's good stuff.
All of my favorite shit that I wrote down in the next segment is all shit that was so fucking goofy that it just was hilarious.
Right.
There's one that I was like, oh, that was kind of badass. But the rest of it was all just shit that I thought was so ridiculous, and it made me laugh so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
Should I get right into it?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, let's do it.
I have a lot not a lot, but favorite scenes. When Eric shows up to kill Fun Boy with his guitar for some reason that he gets from the pawn shop, and it never gets used in the scene for anything, and it literally doesn't really do anything for the scene.
He plays it later on. He does play
it later on, but why does he take it there and hang it up on the wall and then take it with him when he leaves? Like, that's such a fucking...
The Cure.
Because it was like a continuity error that they were trying to make sure they didn't make, which is so fucking funny. Like, nobody was thinking about that. They're like, where the fuck is the guitar that he just got from the pawn shop? Like, nobody cares. So that was really funny to me. The scene immediately after that where Ernie Hudson is in his underwear but still wearing his police hat. And Eric shows up there and is like, you still have your hat on? That fucking killed me.
Why is Ernie Hudson in this role?
I think he's really good, but I think we just didn't get enough time to for him to really develop the character better. Maybe
it's just weird for me because I literally mostly know him from Ghostbusters. I'm like, what the hell is he doing in this movie?
I liked him a lot in it, but yeah, I understand.
He's good. I like Ernie Hudson.
And he plays cops in certain things too. I've seen him in other stuff. TV
maybe
shows.
I just haven't seen enough of him and stuff. Yeah, because
I think the other problem I had too was maybe even though it is it's an hour 45 or whatever, is that it's so. The thread of the whole story is kind of so quick that you don't get a lot of time with each of the characters. There's so many goddamn characters that you don't really get a lot of time to give a shit about anyone.
It's like a Kill Bill-esque amount of
characters.
There's like 7 guys.
Do you really need 20 people that he had to kill?
Their names are all great, by the way, too. Their names are awesome. Like one of them, some guy's name is Tintin in this, which I've never heard before, other than in the Tintin cartoon. Yeah,
Tintin, Fun Boy, Skank. I forget what the other guy's name is. The fourth guy.
Oh yeah.
Shit. I wrote it down somewhere.
Yeah,
it's in my notes somewhere.
They're all fun names, though.
Whatever. Anyway, I had 2 that were these are kind of badass. The bit where he's rising from the grave and his clothes are split at the back, which is a detail you might notice and you might not. But if you know anything about funeral procedure, they do that to the back of their clothes because it's easier to put on a corpse. It's just kind of a neat little detail that Nobody's really looking for except like fucking funeral directors.
But I was seeing that once I seen the split in the back, I was like, okay, this is because they, you're not gonna be one person to put the clothes on. It's not gonna be lifting the body. I realized he just got out of a fucking. It's not like Beetlejuice where he's coming out of a thing with a full suit on.
With a suit, yeah. I also think, it probably would have been cooler if he just came out of the grave looking like this instead of like doing this whole broody dramatic scene where he's out there putting the fucking makeup on. Like, he should have just come out looking like this and been like straight out of the grave. But anyway,
I think they buried. Come on.
Yeah. The bit where he kills the guy who's T-Bird, that's his name.
So I was trying to say T-Bird. Sorry.
Yeah. The bit where he kills T-Bird and the car, he throws that fucking grenade in whenever the car drives off the pier, it blows up, and then he does the lighter fluid crow. That scene's pretty sick.
Yes.
Which I will come back to that later in the legacy section. The scene where Skank is carrying on in the most goofy ass way in that fucking boardroom about how Eric killed T-Bird, and you see what's his name? Fucking what? Something money, big money. What's his name?
Team top
dollar. What the fuck can I not remember his name? Which is also what a fucking whack ass name for Fabio. But like, anyway, Top Dollar. He's giving this goofy fucking bouncy speed speech to Top Dollar about how T-Bird was killed, and you can like Michael Wincott is laughing while it's happening, and he was like, "We should just videotape it and play it back in slow motion." That part fucking killed me too.
Yeah.
And that big fight scene. So I wrote this down. I don't know. I couldn't find anything concrete about whether this was him or not, but that fight scene in the boardroom where it might be Brandon Lee, it might be a stunt double. I don't know. I couldn't find out. But if it is Brandon Lee, it's like where he gets to show off his martial arts training. If it's a stunt double, then fuck it, it's a stunt double. But like that fight scene is obviously good. And that's kind of what I wrote down for scenes. Most of them were just really funny to me.
Yeah, there was some funny ones. Yeah. Okay, I can go here. I actually did write down what you mentioned, which I actually did find very entertaining, was that super angsty scene where he does transform into the crow and puts the makeup on after reminiscing about his dead girl there, and then the music starts playing, and then of course a crow has to come and like land on him, and so and then he jumps on his shoulder, and then he's simultaneously staring out the window, and then there's like rain and lightning coming out the window, and then they show like the view of it. I just thought as a lead up that was actually kind of cool when he transformed into the crow. I actually kind of like the transformation part of him doing that. And then I also liked okay, this part had me scratching my head. I'll save that for questions. Actually, hold on. Then there's, like you mentioned, the pawn shop scene where he blows it up. That's awesome. I like that scene a lot. And then like the whole thing where he's like, "Is that gasoline I smell?" And then the thing like explodes. And this is like when he grabs the guitar and stuff and walks out. That was kind of cool. And T-Bird there when he kills him, that I think it's the pawn shop guy. He stabs his sword through his chest and then shoots him twice because he's taking too long to fucking die, and he gets angry.
yeah, that was great.
That was pretty good. And so I don't step on all the scenes with JT. Let me see here. What else did I got here?
I have fun because I have more corny scenes.
Yeah, you mentioned the guy's car blowing up. Of course, when he plays, his mean electric guitar on the roof and then smashes it right after, that was pretty epic. Oh yeah, and then like I said, the whole scene with the smoking eye and the Tony Montana cocaine-sized pile on his desk. Pretty much any scene with him with the Top Dollar.
Yeah,
I think you could put into this category because he is just hamming it up to the extreme. So crazy. Yeah. So like that, or there's this. Oh, okay. You want to hear my? Okay, this is a laughably bad scene for me. Okay, but it was a fun scene nonetheless. Enough that I had to write it down. That whole scene where the woman now, like he like she goes home to her daughter, the one that he's been having
Darla.
an action with.
Yeah.
And she's making her breakfast and she doesn't know how the hell to make her breakfast. She's been a heroin addict her whole life. That scene where she's asking her how she wants her eggs is so bad. Like, just the way it's delivered. I'm sorry. It's just, I was laughing at that part. I'm like, what is it? Like, she's like, I don't even know how you like your eggs. I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm like, this is just so out of that woman's range. I felt like of acting. She's just like no emotion.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like them sunny side up or whatever. It comes over.
And she's like, do you like him up or over? And I was like, who the fuck asked it like that? Yeah. She's also one of those That Guy awards because I'm like, I know I've seen you in shit, but who are you? Like,
it was just laughably bad, that part for me. I'm just like, oh my God. She goes and like throw the eggs out.
yeah. And then Sarah immediately switches up energy. Is like, no, I like them over easy, Mom. And I'm like, okay, this was the worst fucking part of the movie.
Hey, that was the because she was scared after fucking the other part of the movie where Brandon Lee the Crow there goes and visits her at the fucking thing and saying you got your daughter waiting.
Hold on. That's, I don't step on it. I have a question about that scene. I have a unique question about that scene. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I have a question in relation to that one. So
okay.
Yeah,
but that's the scene I like. That's one of the scenes I like. Is that
okay? Well, we can get it out of the way now. Is he literally pushing the heroin out of her friggin' arm in that scene? He like grabs her arm and then like, is that what he does? Like he's healing her heroin. It's like morphine or
it's
something.
morphine, he says, but yeah, he's draining it from her because she's too high.
Jesus Christ. No, I know he's like an angelic presence or whatever, but like that's crazy. This guy grabs her arm and then like you see it start oozing out of her arm. It's like, you're cured. Go take care of your daughter.
I mean, you can't figure any of that shit out if you just by the first scene when he does the swing after he gets out.
Oh, I know. It's just that's great. I like that a lot too.
Yeah,
that is good.
That's kind of a banger line that he puts out, that part too. That, I mean, it's corny because it's like kind of over the top, but he says that when like the fucking morphine is dripping out of her vein, it's like, mother is the word for God on the lips of children. And like, go take care of your fucking kid. Like,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense in that sense. Right,
yeah.
Like if he's actually doing that, I know Nico's like going like, he's probably going, how did he know?
It is a fucking eye roll though, but
no, I just couldn't believe I was watching what I was watching when that scene happened. I'm like, is this guy pushing the drugs out of her arm? I'm like, what's? And then he says the thing about morphine, but I'm just like, what is happening right now? It was more just like, I was actually surprised at that scene. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, there was almost like, everything was so fast paced. It was like there was no explanation for anything that happened. It was just like, okay.
But it was the reason that it was juxtaposed with the next scene where she's like, I'm not a heroin addict anymore. Let me make you some.
I guess I'm cured. Yeah, exactly.
It scared the shit out of her. That's sometimes they need a fucking rude awakening, bro.
Yeah, meanwhile, she just rolled over off that guy in the bed a moment ago.
Yeah.
We haven't even seen her gone off the binge yet. Yeah, we haven't even seen her got the fucking side effects.
Yeah.
So that's all.
I know what you mean.
I know what you mean. That's what I mean. That it was more so it was the lead up to that scene, but that scene was crazy when he did that to her arm. I was like, that actually was pretty cool. Actually, I'll say that I did like that.
That was that whole thing. Like there is. Are you done with your scenes or what's?
Yeah. I'm done. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, you guys covered pretty good amount of scenes. You know, I'm gonna tag along with some of them though.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's I can't do the justifying like you guys do, remembering the quotes in the middle of the scene. I just remember the scene that I put down, and then I put the quotes somewhere else separately. So I got to learn how to write them down a little better. But no, I'm there with the cemetery, Julie, when he's coming back from the cemetery. That whole, nostalgia of him coming out and coming back and following the crow, and getting the flashbacks of the one thing that I can say a little bit is it started throwing me too. It threw me in a few directions with this movie because of this certain thing. I mean, the crow, all of a sudden, it just reminded me of like a three-eyed raven, and Nico knows what I'm talking about when I say that. But it did. It really did.
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yeah, I just take a reference, like only because he's looking at it through the bird's
Through
eyes.
the eyes of the crow, yeah. Which actually, fun fact, all of the fucking crows in the movie were ravens. Which is a completely different bird. Yeah.
True.
But this one was a crow.
No, like the stunt, like the birds themselves that were the actors for the movie, they were all ravens.
Maybe they weren't native to the region they were filming this in. Then is that maybe why they didn't use them?
Maybe I'm just thinking like for like animal wranglers, ravens are probably more widely available.
That's what I figured. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's probably just more of them that are in the like rescue fucking circuit, whatever it is. However, they become like captain domestic, which is, I mean, nowadays it's more likely that it was like couldn't return to the wild for some reason. It becomes an educational bird. It gets into training, blah, 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 whatever. There were probably just more ravens available. And the same ravens that they used to make this movie went on into all of the sequels. Same birds.
They're still alive? Oh yeah, birds live pretty
I don't know
long.
if they used it for the new one. I'm not sure, but
no. But I mean, if they use it for all the sequels, yeah, the birds live quite a long time if they're fed properly and kept there. I mean, they can live quite.
Oh, I'm sure they could live on, especially if they're domesticated and looked after the right way, right?
Yeah.
But anyway,
sure. The guys at the bar when they got drunk and they were drinking and they were fucking T-Bird, all those guys, man, they were getting ready for the next year, the following year, you know what I mean? And then they were taking shots and swallowing bullets.
Yeah.
That was kind of a weird like thing, but that whole scene and then they pull out all their weapons at each other. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a crazy kind of jump from him going through flashbacks to them like, all right, we're getting ready to go blow up some more places tonight. Like, you know, it's only they literally skipped. But I liked even that whole part, that intro where she's talking, where you can hear the little girl talking about the history behind the crow and all that stuff. In that sense, if that's what the old wives' tale is, or whatever you want to call it, or folk tale.
Yeah, so like the myth or the legend of whatever, yeah.
Of a crow, yeah, that was pretty deep and meaningful, right? But, like you can see, and you're like, fuck. Now every time I see one of those birds, it's gonna give me the creeps. And
I like them. I think they're cool.
They have a different sound to them too, as well. They're not ravens. Don't make that caw or that fucking. It's annoying too, especially if they're outside your guy. Got a lot of wild animals up here. That, you know, there's probably carcasses on the ground somewhere in the fields.
Dude, they're so trainable. You can make friends with a flock of crows so easily. You just give them shiny things. It's great. Give them pieces of tinfoil and they will be friends.
When he saves the little girl from getting hit by the cart, and then he does that a bit of you know, that little bit he talks, and that's when she kind of clues in that it's probably him.
When he says that it can't rain all the time.
Yeah, it can't rain all the time. That's his line. Yeah, I have that in quotes too, because that was that, you know, those are the parts that are getting to me with this movie, because those are very understandable.
Fuck
you.
Such a fucking sap.
Listen, you know what? At the end of the day, and I know how you hate this, but at the end of the day, you know what? It's relatable. And it's going to be something that's timeless, because people, okay, obviously people are going to come back from the fucking dead. But I've always been told that you see a cardinal, that's somebody that one of your loved ones fucking.
Oh yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's always an aspect with that's going to be hit right there with me with this movie.
Yeah, but crow, is it ravens more so than crows? Like those are a bad omen too, though. That's like also associated.
No, you're watching the crow, the fucking actual.
That's also like in certain situations, that's like a bad omen, not a good thing. If you see,
it's like, bad to see
after like
maybe a crow.
It depends. It's like if you see two of them, it's bad luck.
If you see a flock of them, you're fucked.
Well, isn't it called a murder? If it's
a murder of crows, yes.
Yeah.
But no, it's like I forget if it's a bad omen if you see either one or two of them, but the rest, it's like it depends on which culture you're appealing to.
Any more scenes, Jay, that you had there?
And the pawn shop scene, I fucking love that pawn shop scene.
That was great. That was great.
I love that. I love the pawn shop. What's going on over there?
I reread some of my lines and I forgot how funny they were. It's fucking stupid one-liners.
Oh, there's a lot.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
great.
There is a lot of corny ones and there's a lot of cool ones. Like there's a lot.
Oh, I had a lot of
of
fun with the
both.
lines. The lines were great.
Yeah, I mean, you can read them all, man. There's not. I don't even think there's a specific one you can like literally point out as to be a favorite. But yeah, no.
Hit us up with them, Julie. Let's hear it. Let's see.
The pawn shop guy, Gideon, is my favorite guy in the whole movie. All of his like exclamations when he's getting the shit kicked out of him are so goddamn funny.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ in a taxi cab is such a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
And he keeps repeating shit on me,
Yes.
which is funny.
Yes. That's my number one at the top of my list. But he doesn't even just say shit on me. He's like, shit on me, shit on me.
Yeah. The way he says that, like that, like he just says it 1, 2, like it's
I'm
3.
like, who the hell says shit on me? Like, fuck me, sure. Yeah, oh, fuck me. Right?
Yeah.
You hear that? This guy literally says shit on me.
Maybe they could. I mean, it was a rated R movie. I was like trying to think that maybe they were trying to get under the cusp for some like expletives, like if they didn't want to say fuck
Maybe.
too many times, but they got an R rating every time they submitted. Anyway, and then when he yells at, I think it's Gideon, it says, "You're nothing but street grease. You hear me? Street grease, you motherfucker!" Like that's a fucking really weird line. When Ernie Hudson asks if he's going to vanish into thin air again, and he was like, "I thought I would just use the front door." That was funny. I thought it was very Canadian of that one guy to say, "Go inside and get us smokes and road beers."
Yeah.
It reminded me of fucking Ricky from Trailer Park Boys so much. I don't remember when this happened. I wrote it down, but I think it's during a chase scene when that one guy gets like either lands on the car or gets hit by a car, and he calls him stupid ass hair.
Stupid ass? What?
He calls him stupid ass hair. I had the captions on.
Stupid ass hair.
Stupid ass hair, you hit my car. And then when fucking when they're in the church, I think, and he says, Big Boss Guy says, "Quick impression for you. Caw, bang, fuck, I'm dead." That was really funny. And when he gets thrown out the church in the end of that fight scene, or when somebody fucking falls on the cop car, and the cop is like, "What the crap?" And I thought that was funny too. Yeah, all of these are just like shit that made me laugh so fucking hard because they're so corny. Stupid ass hair. That one fucking killed
I didn't
me.
catch that one.
I had to pause the movie because I couldn't see. I was crying laughing.
The that they're busting out in it is crazy. Yeah, it's my favorite one, and I'll pass it over to Jay because I got other ones, but I want to get this out before possibly stuff. I'm surprised he didn't bust this one out. My favorite is that I think the first guy that he goes to kill, the black guy, he's like, "Halloween ain't till mañana."
Yeah, everything Tintin says is funny too.
Tintin, that's his name. Yeah. I just like, why?
yeah.
What the hell?
I got one that to follow that one because I'm pretty sure that's when he's walking out the door. Is that the one with the Tintin's the one with the dreadlocks, right?
Yeah.
The guy with the knives, yeah.
When he's
the
walking
knives.
out of the door and he says, "Oh, I'll close this up for you real good, master." Like, you know, like he was.
Yeah.
He says massa.
I got that one.
Guy, the pawn shop guy calls somebody Toronto in the fucking.
Yeah, I thought I heard that too.
I heard it, but it was before I turned the subtitles on.
But I didn't have subtitles on.
Like they can't be just like this can't be them just riffing, right? These have to be written lines for them, right?
I guess, but it's so weird.
Such stilted
The
dialogue.
guys from Toronto who they said it to,
He's like,
and they just threw it in there.
Yeah.
Till mañana. That was what the.
I mean, until mañana. That I read that Tintin, whoever the actor is, he actually learned like butterfly knife skills or whatever the fuck for the movie, but there's not that much of it. Like, why did he learn it?
I don't know.
Which one was the one that played? Okay, it wasn't. It was the guy with the glasses, the black guy with the glasses. That's Tony Todd, right?
I don't know who that was. He reminded me of Buddy from Blade Runner.
What did you used to go in the
Um,
mirror and say? What
not
the fuck
Blade
was that
Runner.
Candyman?
Blade.
Oh, that he looks like him. I don't think that's him though.
Tony Todd, yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Was that him?
Yeah.
Ooh, 1 Bite Brownies. Look at you. There you go. He's hooking you up.
This is the Hull.
Was that
Anyway.
him? That's Candyman. I was wondering who that
Yeah.
guy is. Oh, that's awesome. Candyman's awesome. I love.
He's
Candyman.
he's one of the henchmen guys, right? The one with the round glasses, and he makes
the
like a
guy that
show.
He's the guy that
on.
works for Top Dollar.
Okay,
The main
okay.
guy
Yeah.
works for Top Dollar. Yeah. Oh shit, he's right. That is him. I didn't realize. That's awesome. He's good.
Yeah. That was my one that I was thinking of. I was like, I
Yeah.
had to check that one up because I had a feeling. It just threw me off with the glasses.
I like this one too, where I forgot. This is when he goes to kill one of them, maybe Fun Boy, and he's like, "Yeah, I think it is Fun Boy." I think he's like, "Suddenly I heard a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door." He's like, "You heard the rapping, right?" So, like all his like little lines, like the Brendan Lee man, the way he delivered them, and then also I got they're the cops when the guy before they go speed off to chase after something. He's like, "You got that cream stuff?" They're talking to each other. He's like, "I hate this. You can't even call it cream legally." And he's like, "What the crap?" And then he throws the coffee, and then he peels off, and then he speeds off, and the other guy's holding the coffee, and then he spills the coffee all over himself. He's like, "Ah!" He just speed off. Like, why?
Oh god.
Why can't you call it cream? I don't understand.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
I think the driving stuff too, in that whole thing where like every time you turn a corner, that fucking car was sliding around. That was so cool. Like just watching whoever was getting to drive that was so interesting. But no, yeah, sorry, that threw me off because you just talked about the car.
And then Fun Boy, when he says, "Look what you've done to my sheets." He like
Oh
freaks out.
yeah.
Right before he dies. That was the best, bro.
My sheets.
Yeah,
Dude.
the best one is Shit on Me though, by far. The Shit on Me, Shit on Me.
But the whole part before that is like, I'll blow this guy's dick off. Shit on me, shit on me, shit on me.
Yeah.
Oh, like
What a bizarre sequence that is.
Yeah, it was, right?
Yeah.
What about when he told the Jesus Christ story when he's getting shot by?
Oh, that was good. Yeah. The joke about Jesus.
I have it here. I actually.
Oh
pulled
yeah,
up
do
that.
it.
Yeah, and he's like, Fun Boy is like Jesus Christ, right? Because he walked in like that. Well, he's ready to shoot up or whatever the hell he's ready to do with things. Mother, what's her name? The little girl, Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah, he goes, Jesus Christ, stop me if you heard this one. Jesus Christ walks into a hotel, boom, he gets shot once, right? He goes up, ow. He says, ow, right? And then he goes, he hands the innkeeper 3 nails and asks, and then the Fun Boy shoots him again. Do you ever fucking die? Fun Boy says, and then he goes, you can't put, can you put me up for the night? Sorry. Like, that's with the 3 nails.
Yeah,
I don't know. That one caught me. I liked it. I don't know why I liked that line so much.
The other part that's funny is like there's that random part where he's like shh, and he like disappears out the window. What the hell was that? Like he was like, do you remember that
Don't
part?
tell anybody.
You know the part I'm talking about? He's like shh, and he like ducks out the window, like disappears, and he's just like all of a sudden he's just gone. I was like, what the hell?
I love it so much though. It's so funny.
No, that part was great. It just again, I was just like, what am I watching right now?
When he laughs when he falls onto that pile there on the bottom after he's got the makeup on, that's like such a fucking Joker look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's that whole tone, I guess, to this fucking movie being so dark, right? There's that whole like sort of, but the laugh, like he played his part, I think, really well. But some of the lines that he had too were good, but there's so many things that like they're all dead, they just don't know it yet. Like those little things like that.
Yeah,
it's basically, it's so weird because you think about it, and it could have all related to like him too, in a sense, because this is his last movie. You know what I mean? And it's really creepy in that way, and I think that has a big aspect on some of the quotes when I'm hearing it, because I know he's gone after this movie. So some of them really resonate with me in that sense, in the quotes. So, like little things like that. When the little girl says "fucking," not too many of the onion. She doesn't like onions because they make you fart. big time.
That was funny as fuck too. I forgot about that
And
line.
it was just cute too. Like it was just, her being innocent and nice that the cop actually, kept in contact with her over the year, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, there's so many, man. Here's the Devil's Night, my favorite fucking holiday. Oh fuck, dude, I love that line. I love that line
I forget
because
that Devil's Night is even a thing until this movie.
but you know what it is? It just brings you back to fucking being in high school and causing so much trouble. The fucking guy at the corner store selling us eggs and stuff like that. Oh man, it was fun. We used to
Yeah.
hide on balconies and just launch them at cars going by. You know how much shit we would have got in right now doing that? Like,
Because now everybody's got Ring cameras and fucking phones and shit.
yeah, you'll get caught. Like, it's not like it's no fun anymore. It just brings. That's what I like about certain things of this aspect of this movie too. It just brings back a lot of like fun times too. I like these rewatches and of older movies.
It just like reminds you of the era of like childhood a little bit.
Reminds me that I still have a memory. It's just helps bring back some of the memory. Like there's certain time frames that you block out. Everybody does in their life, right? But then some of the movies that you guys pick, they become, it's the whole nostalgia thing about it. That's what you got to
Takes you
love.
back.
Yeah, it really does. And it sucks that Nico never really got to watch this once before or whatever, like in that sense, right?
Yeah, but he remembers other stuff from that era that does the same thing for him.
Yeah, I know, I get it. I totally get it. I know, and it's probably certain things we bring up that can bring things, like this is what's fun about doing this too, as well,
exactly.
right?
Everyone's got their movies, right? Their things, yeah.
It's good to to have this varying perspectives on it, right?
Yeah. And when he says victim, that part when he says victims, and then the question mark, aren't we all?
Mm.
Aren't we all in a way? In a sense, like, so it's just, there's very meaningful quotes in this fucking movie if you just really sit there, like, and listen. Not just that, for the fucking corny, funny ones that get thrown around. There is a lot of actual, deep cut ones, which could make a lot of sense to people, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's very emo.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm undercover. I don't know. Like, who knows?
I think you might.
Like, I like these dark things like this. Like, it really, I don't know. It's something about it. With I don't know, my aura or something.
Move on, Julius. This guy's just gonna keep babbling about it.
You know me. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep going. It's just great.
I only wrote down one unique question, and it actually came up while we were talking about the intro stuff. Do you think that this movie would have been as popular if there wasn't this production curse, and if Brandon Lee hadn't died, and it didn't have this whole sort of controversial is the wrong word, but if it didn't have these whole spooky circumstances around the making of the movie, do you think it would have been as popular as it got?
That's a good question.
Like, there's morbid curiosity that plays into wanting to see the movie. And because the content of the movie, like, some of it is synonymous with shit that happened, right?
You know what? I would have to say no. I don't think it would have been as popular because that is a big part of this film, to the point where that's one of the biggest takeaways I know about this movie without ever actually having seen them. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't the curse continue on to the other movies as well? Didn't other people get injured or things happen?
I don't know if the sequels had the same production curse, but I know about all the ones from this one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think it would have been as popular as this movie was if it wasn't for that. Because, like, I looked up even Brendan Lee's filmography, of course, Bruce Lee's son there, and even the few movies that he did prior to this, like, nothing was as big as this. Like, this is absolutely what he's remembered for. And I feel like if it wasn't for that, I don't think this probably wouldn't have had as many eyes on it, I'll say, as a result. Although the time period that it did come out, and like you said, the aesthetic of the film and that kind of stuff, I still think it would have had its core fan base of fans of this film, but I think a lot more people checked it out as a result of the story that followed this movie, for sure. Yeah.
I still believe that this movie, without that stigma of his death and all that stuff like that followed, I think this movie they could have, or the storyline or whatever you want to call it, they could have went really far and did something really good with it.
Well,
Just
they have.
because
They've
of,
done like with 3 other movies. I mean, they've done
I know, but
it's not like
they haven't.
it's lying dormant,
they-
late dormant.
No, and like I said, the only one I haven't, I think I've seen two, but I haven't seen anything else after that. And I'd like to, because two kind of just went out the door for me, and I was like, fuck this, I can't, right? Like, because I knowing the legacy about the first one too, as well, it just doesn't feel the same.
I haven't seen any of the other ones, but even with reviews from what I've heard of the newest one, I would argue that this is probably still the most beloved out of all the other films. I think, like, that's it, and
It would have to be.
yeah. So,
I think
but it also has that stigma to it and attached to it, right? Like that people are always going to remember and never forget, right?
yeah.
As an added point, it did also change like the course of production too. Like they had 8 days of filming left. They had to do a rewrite on some of the stuff because of what happened. So like the content itself changed too. They were supposed to have this whole other thread with this guy called the Skull something, the Skull Cowboy. There was supposed to be some other character that was in this, but the only scenes that this guy, and maybe that was like how they were going to spin off a sequel with this character. This character that was supposed to be in it, he only had scenes with Brandon Lee, and they were all like dialogue, whatever. It was all supposed to be shit that they were going to film afterwards, but they ended up doing a rewrite and writing that character out because they didn't want to blow, like, I forget, I think Paramount dropped them and then Miramax took over. Like Miramax gave them more money to do the rewrite and the CGI and
that's about right. Yeah.
The stuff that they had to do to make up the gaps for what they had to use the body doubles for.
Yeah.
But because effectively it had to be put on hold for a while they because Paramount completely dropped the project after he died. And then they picked it up. I don't remember what the gap, like the time gap is in production. But anyway, they would have had a completely different movie if he hadn't died.
My question was, I mentioned earlier, I wasn't sure about the drugs out of the arm and also the fact if that guy was sleeping with his sister. But I got one more here. But I think this is pretty answerable. Like you guys could clarify this. And I'm sure this is the case. So when the crow gets injured or dies, the actual crow, he can also get injured or die, right? Like that's what happens in that scene where the crow gets shot, and then all of a sudden when he gets shot, he's bleeding all of a sudden. Is that like what you got your interpretation of this? If the crow like is basically the totem,
well, they say that in a part.
Yeah, if something happens to the crow, then something can happen to him essentially. Like, because there's that scene where Top Dollar at the end, they shoot the crow. Like he has a buddy there, Tony Todd there or whatever, shoot the crow. That not the Brendan Lee, the actual crow. And once the crow gets shot and injured, when he gets shot, he starts bleeding, right? So that is the case. Like it's like they're linked, right? Like in that sense.
I guess so. I just assumed that he became not mortal, but I thought he lost the impervious ability because he had enacted all of the revenge and like he was done with the comeback. I thought it was because he was like his time is up.
You thought the same thing, Jay? That it was the crow. That was the
they say it in a scene. They say it in a scene that I think it's almost like a scene where it's like the girl talking like once again like in the beginning,
right?
Where she's talking over something like that. Okay. Yeah, and that's where all of a sudden you see, or they were talking with Miko or whatever her name is.
Yeah,
and she says, "Oh, so we got to shoot the crow. We got to kill the crow."
That's why they went and did that, right? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, why?
But he still wasn't completely finished at that point.
No, he just had to kill Top Dollar.
Finish,
yeah, those guys,
and he was done. After
all of his like lower level goons he had killed already, and then like that was like the final boss type of deal, and that's when they hurt the crow, right? Okay, that's what I got from it. And then like because he's like super powerful at times, like this guy literally transferred over. That's how he killed Top Dollar. He said he transferred over 30 hours of pain from like his experience after getting like killed or something. Didn't he say that? He's like, I'm transferring 30 hours of pain over to you, like when he grabs them, and then like you cut to all these scenes. I guess he was alive in the hospital or something. It's after the accident, or who was that? Like who's pain?
It was 30 hours of Ernie Hudson's pain dealing with when she was when Shelley was in hospital.
Shelley's pain. Okay.
Yeah.
Like standing over the body watching. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't him. Okay, I didn't think so because he died instantly. He fell out the window, right?
Yeah.
But the other one,
it was his wife's.
It's all flashbacks from Shelley, yeah.
Okay,
which are seen from Ernie Hudson's point of view.
That's pretty crazy. Like that he's able to do that. Just be like he's like Ghost Rider, which is like he's a spirit of vengeance essentially.
He's a mind fucker, yeah.
Well, Ghost Rider, that's his whole thing. Like if he grabs you, like his fire, like it'll burn. It's like hellfire. It'll burn the people that are like bad people essentially. Like if you're a clean soul, he can't hurt you. But if you are a bad person and Ghost Rider touches you, his actual flames are like the flames of hellfire, and they'll kill you instantly because of all the more corrupt you are, the more it hurts, like his fire essentially. So so that's kind of interesting. That's what I mean. Like the basis, I just didn't like the execution as much of this in this film. Like I actually think the James O'Barr like storyline it's a great classic revenge kind of story, like with a supernatural kind of aspect to it. It is really good. Like I think the basis of the basic premise of the movie is actually really good. So like I think it, like you said, I think that's like a simple premise that could have gone on to hopefully more success. It would have been maybe more successful sequels. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, right? So it sounds like, even though I haven't seen those movies, but
no, don't bother.
Yeah.
There was the one other one that I really liked is universally the most hated.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, well, that's how it goes sometimes too, right?
I liked it because it has Edward Furlong in it, and he's not in a lot of stuff.
Edward Furlong from Terminator 2? That Edward Furlong? Yeah. Really?
From fucking American History X, Edward Furlong? Yeah.
Yeah. He played what's his face there?
The Crow.
Yeah. No, that's the second one.
Oh, I think I've seen photos of that. Yeah.
No, it's from the fourth one.
There's a fourth one before the new one? Oh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
pretty sure. Let me I'll fact check myself.
That is the Terminator 2 kid, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's John Connor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to Legacy. It obviously did huge stuff for goth culture.
Yeah, that's what I have.
It also it really like played into the goth culture soundtrack of that era. Like gave a lot of traction to stuff that was already kind of popular, I guess, in that genre of stuff. Production gun safety standards kind of changed after that.
I was gonna say, okay, please.
They kind of did, because it's like shit still happens.
How many times has it happened over how many movies?
Not as much.
It's very little.
Like, yeah.
It's even before then and after then. The margin is very small of how many accidents they've actually had related to that kind of stuff on a set.
But I think, the whole thing being that it came down to like the prop what's the fucking word for the person that deals with the firearms on set? The armorist?
Mm-hmm.
Armorist, yeah.
That sounds right. That person wasn't even on set that day.
Oh, there you go. So you shouldn't have been doing what they were doing to begin with.
Yeah. It was during this time when there was like it's like in where they were filming in North Carolina, there was like not this something to work. There was like a strike or something. They could just hire whoever the fuck they wanted to do anything.
Oh, like the union wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But so there was shit around that, whatever. So it came down to like improper handling of the prop gun. They hadn't checked the barrel. There was fragments left from a previous scene. Where whatever, they put dummy rounds in it, and one of the dummy rounds had broken and dislodged, and a fragment of it was still in the barrel. And then they loaded it with the blanks for this particular scene, and when they fired it, the blank propelled the rest of the dummy round.
Yeah.
And shot him. So,
Yep.
his fiance lobbied for like production safety standard changes around that, and then it kind of has just like nothing official was ever like brought about after it. Nobody was ever charged or anything. It was just deemed an accidental death. But since that incident, there was a more popular move of like doing this sort of tricky camera angles thing to avoid like guns being pointed at production members, and including actors and like behind the camera. They'll use like, pointing it slightly, like making sure it's not being pointed at people for the most part. Just in case something like that happens. So that kind of came about after that. The cursed production shit, like that's a legacy it left behind for sure. Like all the crazy shit that happened, they were making. A carpenter got severely burned on the first day of filming. Another carpenter, like a construction guy, got stabbed in the hand, like somehow stabbed himself with a screwdriver. An equipment truck exploded and caught fire. One of the stuntmen broke like all of his ribs. One of the riggers got electrocuted when I think it was like a cherry picker thing or something they were using, hit some power lines. Once disgruntled set sculptor was pissed off and drove his car through a wall of the props room and destroyed everything after he got fired. And then a hurricane destroyed multiple sets during production, and Brandon Lee fucking died. So like that's production itself is a lot cursed.
Yeah.
They listed all the fucking incidents that probably happened on there. They had the probably like workplace inspectors going in there.
God damn. And another thing too is I forget who the guy was how he was involved in production. His name was Joe or Jose something. He said that he just had this feeling about it. And maybe this is, this could be hammed up after the fact because now we know what happened, obviously. But this guy said he just had this fucking feeling about something bad was going to happen to him, a la Vic Morrow from fucking Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh, okay.
He said he had this intuition that something really bad was going to happen, like what happened to Vic Morrow.
Impending dread, like kind of like a...
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it did, and he fucking died. But who knows? That guy fucking never said anything until after. Like maybe he's just, riding on the media hype of what happened, right?
Sometimes as messed up as it is, they say these things to hype up the movie after the fact, so people will go to watch it as well, right? Like people start rumors and stuff. I don't want to say that because obviously this movie was dedicated to him. After you see in the credits, like he obviously died before the movie ever came out, so it's a little different in this case, but they've done that with other movies before too, where like the stories kind of carry on after the film and it gets people in the seats, right? They're like, oh, I heard blah 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 about this movie, right? And who knows if they're true at that.
Of course, they got to use that, right?
Yeah.
And his mom, who is the late Bruce Lee's ex-wife or widow, rather, she okayed them to finish the movie, and so did his fiance, his widow. They okayed them to finish the movie after, they had a grieving period, obviously, but they, wanted to dedicate it to him and do right by him. Whether they did that or not remains to be seen, I guess, because it is kind of campy. But it is very sort of universally renowned as this cult classic now, so it kind of is his legacy, which is neat.
Yeah, that's what I had. It was for legacy. I just put Brendan Lee down because I'm like, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely.
He could have been fucking great. He is great. He was great. He was only 28. That's fucking terrible.
Question.
Yes.
Am I right when I say his dad died? Something in an accident with a movie or no?
Bruce Lee died. It was some medical anomaly, I feel like. But then I remember reading some shit about like it had something to do with the mafia in China or something.
Well,
but, yeah, and then
there's like a conspiracy around it or some shit.
Yeah, they don't want him acting in Canada.
I don't know. He wasn't. Well, I don't know.
Or
but
in the US, you know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I glossed over something when I was doing research, but I didn't fully look into it.
Yeah, he said it was a swelling of the brain caused by an allergic reaction to a headache medication. But then some considered the circumstances of his death mysterious, to your point. And then he died 6 days before the release of Enter the Dragon. So
That's what I mean, right? It was a big, and that's a big popular one for the US. That was a huge one, right? So I mean, like, and this was kind of like a huge one in his actual, like, you know, for his son. This was a big start in the US.
First family.
I mean, for the yeah, exactly, for like the, you know, so it's kind of weird too, right? How
fucking
that, you know,
ended the bloodline. Savage.
no, it is. It's, and if that's what that was, if that was ever really the conspiracy, if we ever really went down that and they found out that would be pretty fucked up, really, at the end of the day. But
who's to say? We'll never know.
Yeah, I know.
The other things I wrote down was that it sort of deviates from, to me anyway, I could be wrong, but being that it started as a comic, it's based on a comic, which was the product of a relatively small comic book house at the time. It sort of deviated from the formulaic style of comic-based movies, in my opinion. But that was, which I think was a unique thing and is kind of good. Like but yeah, like maybe some of the smaller stuff, it just kind of blew up. I don't know. It felt different. It felt different to me than a typical comic book movie from that era anyway.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wrote was that the stuntman and body double for Brandon Lee, who had to film the makeup scenes the last 8 days of filming after he was shot and he died, like the stuff that they had to CGI his face on in moments where they needed it, but where he had to body double and sort of help carry out the legacy. He went on to direct the John Wick movies. So
wow,
which is a recommended pairing online, although I haven't seen them. But
wait a second.
Stuntman and body double.
There you go. Oh, you got an ego.
What? That I haven't seen John Wick?
You haven't seen John Wick?
I have not seen John Wick. We'll get to it.
Somebody better pick it at some point.
His name is Chad Stahelski.
Okay.
Apparently he went on to direct John Wick. I didn't fact check. Hopefully it's right. That's what I wrote for Legacy.
Yeah, you got all my points. Yeah, I got nothing else to add to that. You basically covered it all. A comic, Brendan Lee, the gothic aesthetic. Yeah, that's all I had written down for Legacy. Absolutely. I mean, it's just the film itself with its fan base and its the cult classic, the whole part of it, it's got its fans, man. I mean, obviously new movie just came out. As much as Jay doesn't realize or tries to continue to say it here in the show, it is a franchise.
It's a franchise.
Saying they could have took a different direction with the franchise. That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, I know. We all know.
Oh, fuck off.
Right.
What do you got, Jay? Did we miss anything?
No, I you know what? I unfortunately, like, that is the I would have liked to think that Devil's Night in that whole aspect around things carried on and has left a legacy, but really that kind of died out too, in a sense.
Yeah, nobody, to my knowledge, I don't think it's really a thing. Yeah.
Right. Like, but the whole Halloween time of the Halloween sort of aspect in the dark, those are legacies. I mean, that'll never disappear. The Devil's Night thing, regardless of what you think, that's a good thing that they kind of did it that way. The whole leaving his mark afterwards, that kind of now is like his mark forever, in a sense. Since he died with this movie, I thought that that's like literally that symbol kind of dies with him. Like, after a couple of times of seeing it on the screen, I don't know, I think that carries on really well, and I hope that, like, this, like, the legacy of him and this movie will maybe want people to see this new one and see where they can actually maybe go in a different direction or take it a different way and keep it going, because I still think it was a great storyline, and regardless of some of the cheesy the cheesy actors that maybe should have been in the different roles. I still believe that it could have been even bigger than it is, to be honest with you. Right. So I think it's something that, now that they stirred it back up, I think it's something that can catch on and become even bigger of a cult following now at this time in the world too, in a sense.
It
Especially with
depends.
that whole storyline and that whole vigilante thing in a
I
sense.
feel like it depends on, I mean, there's going to be this huge part of the fan base that is going to be pissed off no matter what they do, right? Because there's going to be people that are sensitive to, like, I mean, there's going to be people that are pissed off about a reboot no matter what you do.
But really, you run out of stories to tell, you got to reboot a lot of things from the back,
I know, yeah, there's nothing fucking, there's hardly any original content anymore. But, like, there's going to be people that are just pissed off no matter what you do because it's a reboot. There's going to be people that are pissed off about how it is in comparison to the old one. Like if they did right by the original. There's also going to be people that are coming to it brand new that have never seen the old one, and maybe you're going to love it. So there's going to be this huge, like, polarizing, differing audience, I feel. I'll be interested to see it, though. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should go in it with an expectation of to have it to be the same as this one, or having, being the same aspect and thinking of it the same way, or comparing it the two. I'm gonna go in there open-minded with it, not comparing the two, because if I compare the two, yeah, I can understand where I can have the argument in my head about, what they did wrong, and you know what I mean. But I am taking it as the actual character itself, and I'm going to watch it as that whole storyline again, which hopefully inspires, like I said, a new generation to kind of maybe follow this, and it goes a lot better, because it'd be nice to see some good movies come out of this new reboot too, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to shitty ones, right? In a sense,
see what happens.
Right? But yeah, I think it was great. I think it even held over well with the whole, everything in this movie. There's a lot of things that I think legacy wise can still hold on, and people can actually enjoy still to this day of rewatch, right? So I don't know. I think it'll carry on for a while, right? And I'm hoping this one doesn't kill it. This new one.
It's not getting great reviews.
I don't like to check that part. You know me, Nico. I'm not like, I won't read it. I won't read the review.
Even Max chimed in. He said he liked certain aspects of it. He said he disliked certain aspects of it. He said despite the reviews, he didn't think it was terrible. He just thought it was okay, but he didn't rave about it either. I'm just saying, but you're right. Go in without it. I'm just saying, what he had mentioned about it. But you're right. You got to go in with it with fresh eyes, in the sense that you may not be part of the percentage of the people disliking the film, right? So
that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, there's going to be a huge percentage of people that are just going to shit bomb it because they're mad that it's a reboot. So, like, it'll be hard to trust the reviews online almost. So you have to almost just see it for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
They do that with a lot of stuff. I mean, we know that, right?
Of course. But yeah, I'm saying particularly because it's the nature of a reboot of, like, a cult classic that people are very attached to. They're just gonna they're gonna thumbs down bomb it online because they're just mad. So like, it's hard you have to sort of take it with a grain of salt.
Can't please everyone.
Exactly.
I didn't mind it at all. I really did. I just thought it was sometimes corny. He just sprays the fucking lighter fluid on the ground quick, and then it made this whole symbol all of a sudden. Like, there's certain things that were like he just did this, and all of a sudden there's this fucking beautiful.
I forgot to bring that up in Legacy. Remember I said I was going to come back to that? I totally forgot. There was a number of movies that took inspiration from this scene, one of them being Batman Begins, I believe it was.
Yes.
And there was another one. There was another fucking big one on there, and I forget, and I can't find the link to where I found it. But there was another movie that did a similar thing. It was like an outline in flames, fucking done another superhero movie or something. But anyway, there was a number of movies that took
something too.
That took inspiration from that particular scene and did their own version of, like, outline flames make the symbol. Batman, one of the Nolan Batmans was one of them. And I forget what the other one was.
Maybe it was Game of
Daredevil.
Thrones. Daredevil. There you go.
I haven't seen that one though.
Yeah.
It was one I had seen.
Punisher did it as well.
That makes
In
sense.
the building. Yeah, Daredevil did it. I'm just looking up a thread on it right now. The director said,
threads.
and the Daredevil one, the director of that movie, as terrible as it is, said it was a direct homage to The Crow because he loves that movie.
Nice.
But the worst part is when the Daredevil, is reflected in Ben Urich's glasses, but they didn't mirror the DD as it would actually appear. So yeah, there you go. They fucked up on the some of the perspective, I guess, on that.
Whoops.
Yeah.
It's nice that that there's homage to it even now. That I guess that's the point.
And the Dark Knight Rises is the one that they do it in.
Oh, gross! It's the worst one.
Last one, yeah.
God damn it. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, movies to pair with.
Yeah, I got some here. Actually, funny enough, V for Vendetta I put here, which was your last movie. I think it actually pairs very well with that.
I knew somebody was going to say that, so I left it off my list.
Punisher, I think it pairs really well with. I would go with the Thomas Jane one personally, which I know not everybody is a big fan of, but I think like that one, there's a little bit more heart in the characters in the movie. I think it's got a cast of characters that's more similar to this as opposed to Punisher Warzone, which is, and I'm not even going to go back to the old Dolph Lundgren Punisher because I've actually never seen that one, but Punisher Warzone is just like a gonzo, like weird. That's like one of those so bad it's good type of movies, but I also don't think it has a good story. Whereas the Punisher starring Thomas Jane, I think does and has a cast of characters that's better than this one. Better, like similar to this one I meant, not better than this one. So I would go with that Punisher. More for the anti-hero aspect to it. And then I would say like things like Sin City, because Sin City is a comic book movie that is also takes place in a dark kind of tone type city with like weird characters floating around, like similar weird goons and stuff like this. And it also came out during, well, I guess after the Crow comic it came out, but it's a black and white comic done by that in that era for sure as well. And then I would go with the Tim Burton Batman movies. I think those are good pairings for this. Again, because of the aesthetic of the Tim Burton films, as we just kind of mentioned when we did Beetlejuice at the top of this month, and also began because of the city aspect to it. I think it really works. Probably even Batman Returns even more than the original Batman. I would say this kind of aligns well with, and I was kind of going with the cheesy aspect of the movie that where it's purposely, I felt like it's trying to be serious, but came off really funny. I put Mortal Kombat, which came out in 1995, which I know doesn't have anything to do in terms of like the actual storyline of this, but it's a movie I would defend because I think it's so ridiculously bad and cheesy. But I watched it when I was a kid and I was a huge fan of those video games. So I think equally it has some bad acting moments in it and also takes itself super seriously at times and just comes off funny. And so I think that's a good example of that. And also has a cult following. Like a lot of people love that movie as well. Yeah, those are my picks for pairings that I had.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I literally went just with the dark movies, like stuff like even that new Robert Pattinson Batman. For some reason, I related that because I feel like
I agree with you on that one because it's like it's shot very dark, similarly to this one.
Yeah, it makes more sense. Like I feel like a Joker, like of that sort of like villainous, or sorry, like that comedy that we were talking about that he has that Brandon Lee has, that sort of with dark comedy.
The way he delivers the lines.
Yeah, the way he delivers the line would fit good in like the like a Batman style with the Robert Pattinson, right? Like even I don't know. I want to say even his Twilight stuff too, but I don't know if that would pair right. I know it's not dark. I know but it's more of like the
What was
cheesy
that about
love
you not being a sap earlier?
Oh boy,
Fuck you, all right?
Twilight does have like a huge cult
You're acting
following.
like I've never had a sappy side to me. I do. You know
Oh no,
that.
I know that. That's why I'm calling you out for
You're,
it.
yeah, okay. I know you are. You're such a
Twilight
dick.
does have a huge
I
cult
love you,
following
bro.
the same kind of way. So like I can see how that would sort of make sense.
But that maybe that's where I was thinking about it along that lines. I wasn't sorry. I wasn't thinking of Batman
I was
as a lot.
throwing you a bone hoping that that's what it was, but all right.
No, but maybe that's the way I was looking at it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe subconsciously that's the way I was looking at it.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Because yeah, I didn't want to go with the whole cult following of Batman because that's just a whole
No,
like
no.
right?
The cult following of the Crow.
Twilight and
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I know
Yeah,
what you're saying.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know, it was weird too because you know how you said the Tim Burton stuff to Nico. I was wondering, like, I was like, even in a weird comedy style way, would I say Beetlejuice too? And that maybe that's where I was thinking of along the Tim Burton style.
Yeah.
Of movies, right?
Sure.
Because I mean, I'm not like you. I can't list all the Tim Burton style movies, but I can see what you're saying in that sense, where his type of comedy.
Hell, you could even say Edward Scissorhands, honestly. Like
you know what? I think at some points he looks like that.
But not only that, like that is but there's a perfect example. That is purposely comedic, the stuff that's happening in that movie. Like when it is dark, but it also is purposely comedic throughout. That is
he's cutting the hedges.
No, I know, but that's what I wish this was.
That's what he wants out of this movie. Yeah.
Like this is what
I get what you're saying.
And it doesn't have to be as comedic as that movie because this has a way darker story in the sense that, like, what happens, it should be more focused on the revenge aspect of it for sure. But just in moments, I wish they kind of leaned into the fact that, like, you know, I'm back from the dead. I'm a weird guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, or the Beetlejuice. I think. See, now I think Tim Burton would have actually did a good job with this movie, to be honest with you, given that angle,
that style. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't even think of but I mean the just the stuff that he has, because now it's Halloween and you start remembering a lot of Tim Burton stuff too, right? So yeah, I was thinking that too, and really, I mean, anything, I would pair this with any sort of sobby love story, I'll be honest with you, because regardless of what anybody thinks, it's a revenge, like a V for Vendetta, like like I get it. So, I mean, there's probably a handful of movies like that you compare with at the top of my head. But I mean, those two were the first real serious ones that I thought, right?
Yeah, that's good.
The Batman one, and even because of this could be a dark comedy, like a Joker. Like I keep saying, it's a Joker, so it reminds me of that dark, but yet sort of kind of comedic, but yet violent in a style movie. You know, so it kind of relates it to that kind of stuff. Like there's like so many. You don't know. You're so right about it. You don't know whether it's comedic, if it's scary, if it's psychological, if it's this has got it all in one. It covers basically quite a few bases in this whole fucking movie, really. So yeah, you compare. There's a few things I would think you compare it with.
Yeah. Julie.
All right. You got me on the Sin City. I also wrote down The Spirit.
Yeah, well, that's Frank Miller's other movie that they did, and he actually directed that one. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I wrote Sin City / The Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, those are both Frank Miller books. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You're gonna have to hear me out on a couple of these.
the floor is yours. Justify
on the same context of like cult classics, maybe plays into the goth culture shit a little bit.
Okay.
Although that they were completely like unrelated universe wise, like the directors, it was not meant to be a sequel one to the other. But they were based on books that were sequels. One was a sequel of the other, whatever. Interview with a Vampire and The Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
Two very different films. However, I think that they both separately and different vibes. But were cult classics in a way.
Yeah,
Queen of the Damned is a shitty fucking movie. My God, the music is fantastic.
never seen it.
Oh my, yeah.
with
Oh, you
Vampire
have
Two as
to watch it. Aaliyah is in it, and
Oh,
Aaliyah is the Queen of the Damned. Spoiler alert.
okay.
Oh my God,
that?
that's probably like a
You know that,
sexual
Nico?
awakening for me.
Yeah, I've
That
never
fucking
seen
movie.
that. Never seen that movie. No, I've seen
Even
Interview
I-
with a Vampire, but I've never seen Queen of the Damned. No.
Queen of the Damned. It does not. It's not related, but it's from the Anne Rice universe of those books. But
Yeah.
it's a very separate movie, and it's basically just softcore porn.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of Anne Rice is. So.
But I mean, Interview with a Vampire took it seriously as like
Yeah,
a like
know what you're saying.
storytelling.
Yes.
Whereas Queen of the Damned was just like, here's a bunch of fucking horny metal music and some hot people.
Yeah,
And just shut up and watch it.
Yeah.
And that's Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
Another like that's another notoriously shitty movie that I liked. But anyway.
Right.
Notorious shit.
Hear me out on this one. This one I went on kind of campy vibes, I feel.
Okay.
Max Payne.
So I've actually never watched that movie. That's the Mark Wahlberg.
Fucking terrible.
Mark
Yeah, it's
Wahlberg,
awful.
right? Yeah. I know it's based on the video game and all that. I just have never watched that. Yeah. Yeah.
I own it.
Mark
It was in the
Wahlberg,
same fucking bargain bin at Giant Tiger. I have it.
Isn't the whole thing with that movie too with Max Payne? Isn't that also a
It
lover?
might be a revenge story.
Yeah. There's a revenge aspect to that movie though, so I get that. I believe. Yeah.
It also has like the same kind of like Sin City. If Sin City was like the absolute maximum inspiration, Max Payne was trying to do the storytelling in that way. Not like color and aesthetic wise, in like style.
right.
It's hard to explain. It's
Right,
like
but-
the way that it's shot.
But Robert Rodriguez directed Sin City, so that's why that's much better. Like I don't know who the fuck did Max Payne, but that's he actually Robert Rodriguez was actually able to capture the look of the comic in Sin City. Like he
Yes.
actually was able to like from the page to the screen, he was able to like he's done actually one of the best, I feel like. With Frank Miller's help, I'm sure, like he was able to convey like what he was trying, what the like. That's why even when they do those animation sequences and it cuts to like the actual film in the movie, it's great. I like Sin City a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And I know, and the sequel was not terrible. I know
It's
people
not as
don't like
good
it as much, but I liked it.
I like it too, but it's not as good as the first one. I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that Sin City. I'm pretty sure that's the one I've seen with what's his face with the messed up face. What the hell's his name? I
Yeah,
never remember.
yeah. From the wrestler,
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
Mickey Rourke. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Max Payne. I'm gonna have to do a rewatch on. It was purely I was like,
sure.
I can't really explain it, but the vibes are there that they could be a match. Anyway, this one on just purely the string of just sort of like the undercover comic book movies, Hellboy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can get with that. That.
This one is just another one on vibes for some reason. Similarly to Max Payne, I put Van Helsing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see
Another
that.
movie that people fucking hated.
Yeah, that got slammed. When
It got
came
shit
out.
on pretty hard. Not what's his name? Hugh Jackman's best performance.
It's okay. I mean,
It's
not
all
like
right.
yeah.
But same kind of thing. I don't know. I'm going on vibes. This one, and I know I normally don't do this, hugely paired up online because it's the same director. Again, I've never seen it, but a lot of people recommended Dark City. Same vibes.
Oh, he directed Dark City.
Yes.
That is a good movie. This same director did this.
Yes. Alex, whatever his name was.
I like.
He
Dark
directed
City.
Dark City.
So I remember seeing that movie when I was younger. My dad took me to see that movie. That movie blew my mind at the time because that's a weird movie. Yeah, that's a really.
I wonder if Nico would like to do that one.
Years. I haven't seen that movie in years.
I put it on my watch list, and I'm
Bring
gonna
up some
check it out.
memories, bro. I should have to fucking put it up. I should have to make that my next.
I
pick.
remember that being a really good movie, at least at the time. Oh, that's interesting that he directed that. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
And I think it was after.
Yes, Dark
Yeah.
City was like
96 or 95 or something.
98, I think. 97, 98, around then. Yeah, so it's a few years later. Oh, interesting.
Same
Now
director,
I'm gonna
also.
have to watch that now again. Yeah.
Same director, not at all related content-wise, but I'm just like, if you want to check out the director besides this and Dark City and to see what else he can do, iRobot.
He did
Did he just do
iRobot
that now?
with Will
I'm still
Smith
trying to see that.
According to fucking the shit that I was looking at.
with Will Smith. iRobot
Yeah.
with Will Smith? Really?
Yep.
Oh, not the new one. That's the other one. I Am a Robot or whatever. the fuck I wanna say.
Alexander Proyas, Australian
Sorry.
filmmaker best known for directing
not-
The Crow, Dark City, iRobot, and Knowing.
I haven't seen Knowing. What
I
you
think-
like
guys are
iRobot.
Serbians? Shut up about that.
No, not that one.
I Am a Robot. What the hell's that?
That new one that just came out, that cartoon
No.
one.
That's crazy, Julie. I didn't know that.
Pretty wild, right? And then
Well, I can tell you this much. I enjoy both of his other films that I've seen way more than this one.
you know what? Maybe this was his entry. I don't know. I didn't look that deep into it to see. Maybe it's not his first one. I think this was his second film, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I mean, listen, I like iRobot and I like Dark City from what I remember. So interesting. All right.
iRobot's awesome though. Yeah, that was Will
Yeah.
Smith. Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
awesome. I like
My
that.
last one, and this is purely on like production. Not the same era exactly. I should have known that actually. The production designer also was production designer for Fight Club.
Huh.
So I wrote that down.
That's pretty good. That's
And the production designer guy came from the music video world, which I think makes a lot of sense for this movie.
Pitcher came from the music. The guy who directed Fight Club also came from the music.
Yeah.
Acting world. Yeah.
The and this is kind of unrelated, but it was just a point that I forgot that I wanted to come back to. That opening sequence where they're doing sort of like the fly-through shot of Detroit, so to speak, is all shot on a miniatures set. It's not
Okay.
a set.
I'm
And
sure they
and that's
have-
why it feels super fucking weird, but that's what gave me Beetlejuice vibes at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought about like a lot of those POVs and stuff like that and how they were filmed because
They used a lot of miniatures apparently because they didn't want to blow a bunch of the budget on like location stuff.
Okay.
Well, also too, I mean, like now they can do a lot of filming with drones and stuff like that with high quality and stuff like that.
So
it's a
like
little-
this new version is going to be a whole different beast, I'm sure. But and
Oh,
they've
yeah,
got
see,
a shit ton of money to work with, I'm sure, based on the legacy, right? So
well, I
yeah,
mean,
that's-
probably this one made a shitload of money considering it didn't probably have the craziest budget to begin with. And
it
over
had
the-
several $1 million. It actually had like a bigger budget than I thought.
I tried to look
Um,
on the IMBD. I didn't get the actual part. Usually, I could see that on the IMBD, but usually I look at that part too. Because
the budget was 23 million in 94.
what was the box office there?
94 million.
So yeah, it basically covered its cost at that point. It probably made over the years more by just streaming.
Oh,
and
I'm sure it did. It made, almost 4 times what it cost to make it, but just in box office. But anyway, but again, a bunch of that hype probably comes from like Bruce Lee's son died during the making of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for my recommendations. Max Payne, Interview with the Vampire Queen of the Damned, Sin City: The Spirit, Hellboy, Van Helsing, Dark City, Fight Club, and iRobot.
Nice. I like that.
So
I like that.
fucking wild, weird list.
You always have some
That's
interesting
good.
pairings. You always have some interesting pairings.
Has anybody watched anything lately?
Let me see. What do I got here? Not much. I watched that new Netflix movie, Don't Move, which is like a thriller.
Okay.
It's kind of a thriller, and it's got basically a woman at the start of it. She's gonna kill herself, and then somebody convinces her not to. Then it kind of becomes like a cat and mouse type of situation where the guy's trying to kill her. So she almost kills herself, like commits suicide, and then he saves her, only to basically turn out to be a guy that's actually a serial killer. And then he pursues her, and it kind of goes off the rails from there. And it's like a suspense / thriller. I know a lot of people were posting about it, trying to identify it as like a horror movie at this time of year, but it's more of a thriller. But those can be kind of like exciting and kind of scary at times too. So that wasn't bad. I watched it. It was on Netflix. Called Don't Move. It's starring a guy that starred in a lot of seasons of American Horror Story. I think he's most notably, I don't know the actor's name, but he's well, actually, hold on, I have it here. It's his name is Finn Whitrock. He's in the American Horror Story. I think he was first introduced in the clown one, the circus one, and he's like the rich kid that's like kind of like a weird character in that one. That's like the son of the woman that she brings this clown home to him in it. So he's been in a bunch of American Horror Story stuff. So like you probably recognize him from there if you ever seen that show. That was decent. And then I also watched, as I mentioned, go back and check out Late Night at the Movies. The last episode we talked about Smile 2, Terrifier 3 that we watched in theaters, me and Christine recently. Oh, and then the other big one that was getting a lot of buzz this past year is called Strange Darling. I watched that, and the less said about that movie, the better. That's all I'll say about that, because it's one of those movies where
that's fucking Harry Styles one, right? Yeah, okay.
Not Harry Styles. No, it's the guy that's in. He's in a bunch of horror movies.
Oh no, I'm thinking of that's like Don't Worry, Darling or something.
Yeah, that's
that. Okay. Strange Darling.
I watched that too, but yeah, no, this is Kyle Gallner is in it, and he's and Willa Fitzgerald, and that's all I will say about that, because I think that's one of those horror movies, like the less you know about it, the better, because it kind of subverts your expectations and changes the way you look at the film as you get into it. Like you don't really know what's about, and then you kind of learn as you go, kind of thing. But that Kyle Gallner guy has been in a bunch. He was actually just in Smile too. He's actually the guy from the first Smile movie who's a cop who ends up surviving and then going into Smile 2. It kind of takes place right after Smile 1, and he's the cop that's at the start of that movie. He's in this movie Strange Darling as well. It's also not Benicio del Toro, Giovanni Ribisi. He's the director of photography on this movie. The actor.
Okay.
And it's like a very artsy kind of, it's they filmed it in film, like it's filmed in using film, like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So like it's very kind of well shot. He did a really good job. Like you can tell, like there's like a lot of like crazy still shots that he does in this movie. You can tell, like it's just aesthetically, it's kind of a bit more,
and it has a particular look to it because it's on 35. Okay.
Yeah, you actually have it on your to watch list right now, Julie. So someone must have suggested it to you, or you saw it somewhere on Letterboxd. I see it.
Was it out recently?
So it came out apparently at the tail end of 2023, but it just hit streaming services in 2024, I believe. Like
I may have seen a trailer and then and like when I was at a theater, and then added it to my watch list then.
Yeah, because you have it on your want to watch list here, I see.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really good. I liked it.
Cool.
It's on more streaming services now. So I think this year it's gotten a lot. It's like on a lot of people's lists of like best of the year horror movies, right?
Nice.
And yeah, that's about it. I mean, I did want to watch. I've just been busy. I always want to watch more horror movies for Halloween. But also, I want to mention, if you did want to hear me rank the 13 Halloween movies that I did watch this year and that I talked about on our Halloween episode slightly, we are putting out a special. It's like a 20-minute clip of me ranking all 13 Halloween movies in the franchise that we kind of took out of the episode of Halloween that we posted. So this hasn't, if you've watched the episode, this hasn't been seen yet, this clip. It's actually coming out on Halloween night, the same time, just before the airing of this episode. So go back, check your feeds. If you check this out, that episode, that clip will also be out there premiering on Halloween night. So you get 2 episodes essentially that night of Late Night at the Movies. So that'll be really good. So definitely check that out. That's me ranking all 13 franchise films of Halloween. It is a franchise, Jay. I don't know if you knew that about Halloween, but it's considered a franchise by some, if not most.
By most.
Sorry.
You know what I'm going to say. Just smack yourself in the back of the head for me, please.
All right. Thanks. And movies I want to see. I got a long list here because it's like coming to the end of the year, and when we do our year-end review videos and our kind of award shows for this, we're going to be talking about movies, best things we've seen this year on this show probably as well. And me and Jay always do our year-end review. There's a lot of things coming in under the wire I want to check out. I got to watch Megalopolis again for when me, Max, and Jay talk about that one. That's another movie that's getting so-called bad reviews, which I think has just been very misunderstood by some folks. Then you got Anora that I want to watch. Saturday Night, the new you mentioned SNL movie. There's Rebel Ridge, which is on Netflix, which I've yet to see, which I've heard is good. Heretic, which is a new horror movie from A24 starring what's his name?
Hugh Grant.
Yeah, thank you, Hugh Grant. Conclave. These
Me
are
too.
these are a lot of like what do you call it? TIFF movies that came out that are going to be hitting theaters before Christmas now.
Was Anora a TIFF movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so that director, this is also on my list. That director directed Tangerine.
Yes, which is the movie Max I know talked about, but he also did the Red Rocket movie, which I've seen by.
I didn't see that in Florida Project and something else that was big.
Yeah, he's a very up and coming director. This guy who's like, yeah, Anora is getting all this praise. Max is the one that hyped up that Anora movie too, but I have yet to see Tangerine, so I got to check that out at some point.
I think we should watch it for Christmas. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, he's mentioned this before. Yeah, maybe we will. And then there's a Wild Robot I want to watch as well.
That's the one I'm starting to say, bro. The Wild Robot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. That's the one.
And then I also want to watch this Challengers movie, the one that's like yeah. I also found out recently that the director of that Challengers movie has just been signed off. It's official. He's going to be doing a remake of American Psycho, which that's kind of interesting to me. I don't see that as like a film that he would do. So I'm very interested to see where he goes with that.
Nobody called me to play that role.
And more horror movies that have come out recently that I want to watch. A Woman of the Hour, which is with Anna Kendrick on Netflix. Am I just killing your list? Sorry. It's What's Inside is also another movie on Netflix I wanted to see. And I think it's on Shudder, VHS Beyond, which is part of the Beyond VHS.
I've seen that one.
Did you? I haven't watched it yet. That's the new one that just came out. Yeah, which so yeah, that's my list. Like I said, a lot of movies I'm going to probably sink into the next few weeks because this is the period between Halloween and Christmas. Once December hits, I'm just watching Christmas movies, so I got to get these all out of my system probably before Christmas time. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, go ahead. How about you, Julie or JT or one of you guys?
Go ahead.
All right, fine. I haven't seen anything new lately, but I rewatched Logan and Midsommar this weekend. Two very wildly different movies, but
love Midsommar.
Very wildly
good. So fucking good.
I don't remember, like, Midsommar was, I was hanging out with my friend and he was like, we should watch like something not scary, but he was like, we should watch something like Halloween-y. It is a mindfuck. But I was like, have you seen, I don't know, everything that he brought up? I was like, like whatever. I didn't want us to watch a shitty movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he had never seen, because like you can gamble on like something, but like I was like, oh, the IMDb on this is not good. But I was like, have you seen? I know, but I didn't want us to fucking waste time on a piece of shit. I wanted to enjoy. I was in the mood to pay attention.
That's fair.
So I was like, have you seen Midsommar? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, have you seen Hereditary? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, okay, you can handle this. And we watched that.
So I actually rewatched Hereditary this past week too, and I forgot to mention. And Midsommar is I've now decided that that's the superior film. I actually think Hereditary.
You think it's more fucked up?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I still don't think so, man.
No,
I haven't seen Hereditary yet, but I know.
So I hadn't watched Hereditary for a while since I first seen it, and I just rewatched it this past week. And I think Midsommar's worse in terms of how fucked up it is.
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Hereditary is too, but no, it's not as fucked up as Midsommar. Midsommar's way more fucked up than
Midsommar is especially fucking.
The first 8 minutes of Midsommar is darker than Hereditary.
Oh god, it's so dark.
Just the car ride alone is fucking.
The vibe of the entire. I think it's like
that has the most shocking moment out of the two films. Hereditary. I agree with you there. That Hereditary is more shocking, I would say, but Midsummer is like. Midsummer.
It's got blow after blow after blow. Like it just keeps going. And the whole thing takes place in the daylight, and it's still fucking.
Horror. Yeah, it's a daylight.
It's really interesting how well written it is, how well produced it is. Like it's really something. It's really groundbreaking to me.
I know everyone likes to talk about Hereditary, but Midsummer's is his best film in my opinion. It's my favorite, anyways. But
it was wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched the whole thing. He fell asleep. Whatever. Fine, no big deal. And I rewatched Logan because I wanted to make myself fucking sad. I guess I don't know. And. Why did I rewatch it? It's so goddamn sad. But everything Wolverine. I love him. So my want to see list is literally, much smaller than Nico's list. But I wrote down Woman of the Hour, Anora, Conclave. I'm also gonna watch the rest of the Crow movies because I got stupid fucking busy, and I know I said I was gonna do it before the show, but I didn't.
That's okay.
So I'm gonna watch them just
report back
to revisit, report back on how shitty they are, maybe do a ranking. Who knows? And I will watch the new The Crow remake, and so like that's on my want to see. But that was kind of it. I go through the Cineplex trailers of like what's currently coming out, and then I'm like, ooh, this looks nice because I haven't gone to the Cineplex in a while. So yeah, I really should. I pay for the subscription to be able to go see a movie every month, and I haven't been. Yeah, and I haven't been. So I have some accumulated credits to go and burn, and I should go do that soon.
Okay, Jay,
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So what I watched right now, or what I want to watch right now?
Both.
Okay. So
that's what you've seen.
I went back. I told you, I went back and watched Smile, and I watched Smile 2 because of that. It's an Nico. So those ones I've seen just recently. I went and watched Terrifier 1 and 2 because
you've never seen them before, eh?
I've seen Terrifier. I've seen the part 1. I didn't see part 2.
What'd you think?
Right? Because I'm iffy about slasher films, right? Fair. Obviously,
they're not for everyone. Yeah.
I'm iffy. I have to like it, but I mean that fucking costume stands out forever, and that will stand out forever.
He's great as that character. Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'll give him that.
Art the Clown.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have easily dressed up as that today, Nico. Some white and some black makeup. You could have done the shit out of that one.
I could have. You're right. I know that would have been awesome. I
actually wanted to text Christine and say, "Listen, why don't you put white makeup and make him have the eyeshadow?"
I dropped the ball. It's because I just got back from a trip yesterday.
He's jet lagged or whatever.
From the weekend. He's hungover from the weekend still, man. It's a long drive there and back. You can only imagine.
Yeah.
Fair.
But yeah, and then the Smile 1 and 2, right? I went back and watched those. Where else I got? I watched your VHS and Beyond, right? Which was, because Nico had made me watch the first VHS, I think.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah. So
they came out like the 90s? Am I like?
No, there is a 90s one. They're all like it's a series of horror anthologies that are done by like different like upcoming directors on Shudder. Like they do like short stories in each one. And they're all based around the fact that people are finding a VHS and the 3 or 4 different stories that are on there. It's like a horror anthology. So there is ones where like VHS Beyond, I think it's like future stories now, right, Jay, or something like that. Like, and then there's like ones that's like VHS 90, VHS 80s or something. They've done a series of them at this point, and like they've
done it really good.
Yeah, there's a theme kind of for each one, like somewhat like, but it kind of goes all over the place in terms of like whatever the filmmaker's idea is. It can range from anywhere from sci-fi horror to like just straight up horror type of film. Yeah, it's
what I like about that kind of stuff is that it's like, remember when you used to have a VHS, Nico?
Yeah.
And you didn't know what was on it because it didn't have a label on it or whatever, and it was recorded something, and you went and popped it in, and it was like you didn't know what you were gonna watch at that moment until it actually came on. That's kind of how it gives me that feeling like of it.
They capture it good. Yeah.
They really do. Because not, I mean, obviously a lot of people out there don't have VHS.
No.
Obviously don't even know what the fuck they were if they don't do their math, if they don't do their history. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just so cool, right? And I watched Salem's Lot. That's
Yeah.
you, right, Drew? You fucking. She's doing this with the mic. It's tripping me out.
I'm just fidgeting. I was thinking the VHS. I remember. Okay, this is a weird, super specific memory. I feel like because I had a DVD of the movie Gothica, I feel like I remember a trailer in the beginning of that for a horror movie called VHS.
It's possible. There's been a lot of them now. There's been like
Okay.
I feel like 5 or 6 of them or something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. I was just trying to pull on the fucking weird memory that I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go
I
ahead.
watched a remake of Salem's Lot, which I wasn't
I've heard of
very.
that.
I heard it wasn't good.
No, I think that they did a better job when they did the TV show.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, they really did. They did it because it's funny when you click on it. I mean, it gives you both. It'll give you the TV or the what do you call it? The
Movie.
actual movie. Yeah, they did it. They didn't do it. They had maybe an hour and a half, now an hour and 40 minutes. They could have done a lot better job. I'll be honest with you. I like the Stephen King story, so I'd like to I like when they do it the right way. I don't think I think people I think people might disagree with me and they might not, but yeah, I still think it was better done as a TV show.
There's 7 VHS movies to date.
Okay.
The first one was in 2012. So yeah, they've been going on for a bit.
That's
Yeah.
so late. So I'm thinking of a different movie then.
Okay. Maybe that.
No,
Yeah.
but you could be right about it being 90s because there was one that's based earlier.
No.
than that.
But Gothica came out before. I don't know. I'm on this feeling about the movie Gothica. Never mind. Keep going.
With what else? I guess the Smile 2s 1 and 2.
If that's what you've seen, like, what is there anything you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the new Venom because I went back and watched the first one again. So I'm looking forward to seeing the second one. That's why I think I'd asked you if you'd seen it yet, right?
Yeah, I'm not into the Venom movies.
I know you're not.
Oh,
You're a
no?
Spider-Man guy. No,
Yeah.
you're a Spider-Man.
Not really. No, I don't know. Those are the Sony ones. They're not that as good. Those ones.
Oh, he's against that whole thing. I know. Yeah, he's a Marvel guy. I'm just doing it for the story. Like I want to see what the story.
I'll watch them eventually. Although I haven't seen the second one. I've only watched the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I mean. I want to see how the story plays out with the second one, right? That, like you said, Wild Robot. That's what I was trying to say. I wanted to watch, and obviously I watched Metropolis again, but Megalopolis. Sorry, Metropolis. I'm thinking of Superman already because I'm thinking about what I'm doing after this. And I'm not doing Superman. I'm going to watch it, but yeah. The Megalopolis. I think that one. You know what? The only reason why I want to watch it again is because you know what's weirdly awkward about that movie is that like there's something that I don't think people are getting is that's more creative. I think of a movie in a sense of its own style. I get what they're not trying to follow a sort of pattern in a sense of like where like this is like kind of like a love story. I mean they follow somewhat of a pattern because they're using basically ancient times or Roman times, but no, they're not really following. And I think that's where people have a thing when they criticize. I think people like to watch movies that are the same as that are like the same as a following storyline, like another storyline that's similar, right? Like they're just doing an adaptation of another story, right?
Right.
Well, as this one is more of like an original classic in a sense, I think already. Yeah,
also very quickly, one more piece of movie news I just saw today, Julie. I don't know if you saw this. The Wayans brothers are coming back to do Scary Movie 6. They just announced they're doing
lit.
the first scary movie that they've been involved.
What are they playing? Grandfathers?
I don't know. They're going to be directing it, and they write it. They're the ones that did the originals too, right? So they haven't done.
Too bad Leslie Nielsen is dead.
I know.
It would have been great.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch that one Brothers, that one with Dinklage.
Oh yeah, Peter Dinklage. Yeah.
It's on Prime. Yeah, so I want to watch that one coming up. But other than that, I don't know what's in the theaters yet. I know I've put some stuff out there. in
Yeah.
the chats and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure of what's actually in the theaters, and I haven't
Yeah.
been able to see any real trailers lately. So,
Well, I'm sure you'll see what pops up on the site soon.
oh, that's what I always wait for. You know me, brother. I mark them on my list.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but yeah. Other than that, no. I mean, I want to watch more TV shows, yeah, but there's a lot of new TV shows too coming out that I know. So, I hope you guys get the chance to watch. There's one that I want you guys to watch, both of you. It's easy because they're two at a time. And
What's
it's
that?
Teacup.
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 Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, write it down.
What is it? It's a show?
Oh, just trust me.
Is it a show or a movie?
Yeah, it's a TV show, and the last two come up on Halloween and Halloween.
Halloweeny.
Halloween. I was gonna say Halloween Eve. I don't know why. For some,
You are a fucking Halloweeny.
There you go.
but yeah. Well, maybe if after you hear what I'm gonna pick for the next one.
Oh, come
maybe
on.
Oh, come on, bust it out.
Oh,
We're at that point.
At the 3-hour mark. Let's go.
Yeah. We're at that point. I'm gonna have
maybe
to edit this
maybe
one
you'll
down.
call me a weenie after. Yeah. Fucking ass.
I'm gonna have to like I'm gonna have to edit 20 minutes of JT's rambling out of this episode. But go ahead.
But blow me. I barely talked. Like really.
Okay. I for once know I didn't overtalk today. I know this for a fact. You spent like 10, 20 minutes.
It was a big yapper today.
But I was slow and I was talking. I wasn't saying a lot, but I was reiterating my.
You were beating the horse to death at one point, but it's all right.
Go
I
ahead.
was beating my head to get it out of my head. That's what I was doing.
I know. You were
What's
just
your
trying.
next-
Yeah,
what's
what do you
your
got?
next pick? What's your next
You
pick?
guys give these looks. Wait, no, you guys give these looks, and it throws my fucking thought process
To
off.
each other or to you?
Focus.
I don't know.
Focus.
And yeah, exactly. My focus gets fucking thrown off.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just playing with you.
Son of a bitch. I know. I love you too, bro. But
What's
like,
your next pick?
blow me. But no, no.
I don't know that one.
Not that. Well, anyways, it's in the making. No. So
Drum roll, please.
I'm now. Since I brought up that first one, I'm thinking of two. I'm thinking of two, and I'm actually thinking of three because it's going to be the same actor, if anything. And I need your help deciding, okay, guys. Okay.
You want to
It's
vote
either gonna
on
be-
what your pick is going to be?
Well, it's gonna either be okay because I mentioned to you Lincoln Lawyer, right?
Sure.
I
I've never
mentioned to you
seen
guys
that. I don't know.
Okay. So I was either thinking that, and then I went and said, you know what? Fuck, maybe we got to get into a little bit of a comedy here. And I was thinking maybe we'll go Beach Bum instead.
Never seen that
Right? 'Cause
either.
that's a little bit sappy, but it's fucking hilarious.
I do like
Okay.
Beach Bum. Yeah.
And I think it'll be fun to pick apart, right?
Okay. You want to go
But
Beach
then
Bum?
I was wondering, do I go right to his original and say, let's watch The Time to Kill?
No, go Beach Bum. Time to Kill is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Time to Kill. I don't think I've seen it, but I feel like I've heard shit about it.
It is a very good
That's
movie.
his
But
number one film. Yeah, like
it's well, I think
put
it's
him on
like,
the map, bro.
yes, but it's a very heavy movie, like in terms of like
It'll be hard to discuss.
yeah. I think you should go.
Is this a
either-
McConaughey thread? Is that what we're on? Okay.
Yeah, they're all McConaughey films. Time to Kill is based off of that novel. It's about in the South where something happens to a black girl, and then yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a tougher, it's tougher to discuss that movie. I feel like it's a great movie. I mean,
not nowadays. It's really they might even.
No, I don't care. I can talk about that movie, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're all good movies. I like all those movies,
But I think we'll have a good laugh if we all sit and watch Beach Bump and have a good one. I think even Max would like. I don't know if he's seen.
He
it.
likes that
Probably
movie. He likes Beach Bum. What are you talking about? We've talked about it.
And
with
it's a
him.
very,
Alright.
like I said, it's an inspirational too. As if you take it the right way, I'll have a lot to say in that one because
Okay,
I've told people
so
about
Beach
this already.
Bum starring Matthew McConaughey. I think it's directed by Harmony Korine, who of course did Kids and Spring Breakers. One of my favorite movies by him is actually he did that as well. So yeah, he's a director of that movie. So he does some interesting things, that guy. So yeah, there you go. Beach Bum is the next movie. There you go.
It's a very good movie, and it's got Snoop Dogg in it too. No, But yeah,
He is
that's
in it.
just for
Yeah.
that's the added touch.
There you go.
Nice.
All right. So Beach Bum is the next movie for November. As we mentioned, go back, check the feed out. We've put out an episode every week this month for spooky season. And Julie, any final thoughts on this, on your pick here tonight? Or
I quite enjoyed this. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
there you go. All right. Well,
Except, whoops, Max isn't here. Fucking bitch.
Was so I thought I'd
It's not even scary, Max. Come on.
I know.
that's why I
know.
thought I'd pick a funny
I
one
just-
for this one, so we know he's coming.
Okay, yeah. Well, he made sure to say he's coming for your pick, so there you go.
Oh, favoritism. What an
I
ass.
know.
Yeah. Don't worry. Tell
You
him there's
think
no
Max
dog.
would have dressed up?
No, he would not have.
No, he would have. No, not. Oh, I don't think so.
Oh.
Yes,
He's
shout out
get-
to Julie
He's
once
getting used to
again
the camera.
for actually being in the spirit. So there you go. So yeah, no, good pick. And next
I'm
time,
a late night chat fan.
there you go. Next episode for November will be Beach Bum starring Matthew McConaughey. Everybody, make sure to tune in for that. And we'll see you guys later. Let's put that Cure music back on to close out the show, shall we? All right, everybody.
Show.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.